What if the world you know is only a fraction of what truly exists? Beyond the familiar horizons lie places so surreal, they defy imagination, where mountains rise like celestial spires and deserts whisper secrets of lost civilizations. From the frozen cathedrals of Antarctica to the emerald veins of the Amazon, this journey unveils 300 of Earth's most spectacular wonders, each a testament to nature's boundless artistry. Nestled between towering cliffs and the shimmering Adriatic Sea, Omish emerges as a timeless enclave where history and nature coalesce in breathtaking harmony. Once a formidable pirate stronghold, this Croatian gem invites travelers to wander through its cobblestone streets, where echoes of maritime legends whisper tales of daring escapades and hidden treasures. Perched atop rugged hills, the medieval fortresses of Mirabella and Fortica stand sentinel, offering panoramic vistas that stretch across terracotta rooftops to the azure horizon beyond. As you ascend these ancient ramparts, each step unveils a tapestry of landscapes, emerald forests, winding rivers, and the expansive sea that have witnessed centuries of human endeavor and natural splendor. For those seeking thrill and adventure, the Cetina River beckons with its crystalline waters carving through dramatic canyons. Here, the exhilaration of whitewater rafting melds with the serenity of untouched nature, creating an experience that quickens the pulse and soothes the soul in equal measure. Yet Omish is not solely for the intrepid. Along its sun-drenched coast lie pristine beaches like Velika Plaza, where golden sands meet gentle waves, crafting a sanctuary for relaxation and reflection. As the sun dips below the horizon, the town's waterfront comes alive with the aroma of freshly grilled seafood wafting from local taverns, harmonized by the soft strumming of Dalmatian folk melodies. Each summer, the spirit of the past is resurrected during the annual pirate battle reenactment, a spectacle where the town's storied legacy is celebrated with fervor and pageantry. Amidst the clash of swords and the boom of cannons, one is transported to an era where Omish ruled the waves, a testament to its enduring allure and indomitable spirit. Beyond the northernmost tip of Queensland, where the Coral Sea converges with the Arafura, lies the ethereal expanse of the Torres Strait Islands, a mosaic of over 200 atolls and islets, each a testament to nature's artistry and cultural resilience. Here, turquoise waters lap against powdery white sands, and vibrant coral reefs teem with marine life, painting an underwater tableau that rivals the world's finest. Stepping ashore, visitors are embraced by the warmth of indigenous communities whose traditions have flourished for millennia. The rhythm of island life is punctuated by the beat of drums and the swish of dancers' grass skirts, narrating stories of ancestral heroes and the timeless bond between land and sea. The island's remoteness has preserved their pristine beauty, offering intrepid travelers an unspoiled paradise far removed from the trappings of modern tourism. Whether sailing between islands under a canopy of stars, exploring ancient rock art sites, or simply basking in the serenity of secluded beaches, the Torres Strait Islands promise an immersion into a world where time ebbs and flows with the tides, and the soul finds its anchor amidst the vastness of the ocean. On the western cusp of Flores Island, cradled by cerulean seas and verdant hills, lies Labuan Bajo, a once sleepy fishing village now transformed into a gateway to wonders both terrestrial and marine. The town's charm is undeniable, with its harbor dotted by finnacy schooners and its streets lined with vibrant markets offering the day's fresh catch and intricate ikat textiles. Yet, it is the allure beyond the shoreline that captivates the wanderer's heart. The nearby Komodo National Park, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, beckons with promises of encounters with the majestic Komodo dragon, the world's largest lizard, whose presence evokes a primeval awe. Trekking through the park's rugged terrains, one is immersed in landscapes where savannas meet monsoon forests, and the air is filled with the symphony of exotic bird calls. Beneath the waves, an underwater Eden awaits. The park's coral reefs form a kaleidoscopic realm where manta rays glide gracefully, sea turtles weave through fields of swaying anemones, and schools of vibrant fish dart between ancient shipwrecks cloaked in marine flora. Night dives reveal a world transformed, where bioluminescent creatures dance in the darkness, leaving behind shimmering trails of light that blur the boundaries between reality and fantasy. At the pinnacle of Labuan Bajo's allure is Padar Island, where a panoramic trek rewards adventurers with a surreal view of crescent-shaped bays embracing sands of starkly different hues, white, pink, and black, each a testament to nature's infinite creativity. At sunrise, the landscape ignites in a blaze of gold and crimson, a fleeting masterpiece painted anew each day by the heavens above. For those who linger, the town's allure deepens at dusk, as the setting sun casts a molten glow upon the sea, and the night hums with the gentle lapping of waves against wooden piers. In Labuan Bajo, the horizon is not an end, but an invitation, a promise of adventures yet to unfold in the embrace of the wild. In the heart of Portugal's Algarve region lies the enchanting village of Faragudo, a destination that seems to have gracefully eluded the march of time. This coastal haven, with its whitewashed cottages adorned with vibrant bougainvillea, offers a tranquil retreat from the bustling tourist trails, inviting visitors to immerse themselves in authentic Portuguese charm. As you stroll through the narrow, winding streets, the scent of freshly baked bread mingles with the salty sea breeze, leading you toward the central square, Largo Rainha Dona Leonor. Here, locals gather in the shade of ancient olive trees, sharing stories over cups of strong espresso, their laughter harmonizing with the distant cry of seagulls. The village's shoreline is a tapestry of secluded coves and golden beaches, each with its own unique allure. Praia Grande, with its expansive sands and calm waters, is perfect for sunbathing and leisurely swims, while the more secluded Praia dos Caneiros, framed by dramatic cliffs, offers a serene escape for those seeking solitude. Overlooking the harbor stands the Castelo de São João do Arade, a 16th century fortress that once guarded the coast from pirates. Its weathered stone walls and commanding presence serve as a poignant reminder of Faragudo's rich maritime history, inviting exploration and contemplation. As evening descends, the village comes alive with the aroma of grilled sardines and the soulful melodies of fado music emanating from local taverns. Dining al fresco, under a canopy of stars, you'll savor the flavors of the sea, accompanied by the robust notes of regional wines, each sip capturing the essence of the Algarve's sun-drenched vineyards. Faragudo's allure lies not in grand monuments or bustling nightlife, but in its simplicity and authenticity. It's a place where time slows, allowing you to reconnect with the rhythms of nature and the warmth of community. A hidden gem that leaves an indelible mark on the soul. Hidden deep within the heart of Norway's Lofoten archipelago, a land of otherworldly beauty unfolds. A place where jagged peaks rise like ancient sentinels from the sea, their reflections mirrored perfectly in fjords, so still they appear like glass. The Lofoten Islands defy reality, a dreamscape of soaring mountains, secluded beaches, and fishing villages painted in crimson and ochre, standing defiantly against the Arctic winds. Here, time slows. The scent of salt and pine lingers in the crisp air, mingling with the distant aroma of drying cod, a centuries-old tradition that still shapes the local way of life. In the village of Rennes, perhaps the most picturesque of them all, red wooden cabins known as Rohrbuer perch on stilts above the water, their humble facades belying the breathtaking spectacle of nature that surrounds them. From here, a world of adventure awaits, kayaking across sapphire fjords, hiking to peaks that scrape the heavens, or sailing beneath the ethereal glow of the midnight sun. For those who dare to ascend Rheinebringen, a mountain path that carves its way up steep cliffs, the reward is a view that seems almost impossible. A mosaic of emerald islands scattered across an endless blue, fjords winding between them like veins of liquid silver. It is a sight that steals the breath, leaving only awe in its wake. But Lofoten's magic does not end with the summer's light. As winter descends, the sky becomes a stage for the greatest natural performance on Earth, the Northern Lights. Curtains of emerald and amethyst ripple across the heavens, reflecting off the snow-dusted peaks and casting an eerie glow upon the icy waters below. To witness the aurora here, in this land where nature still reigns supreme, is to glimpse something beyond human understanding, an ancient force, whispering secrets in the wind. Thousands of miles away, on the other side of the world, lies a landscape just as surreal yet entirely different: the staggering dunes of Lençóis Maranhenses in Brazil. At first glance, this vast expanse appears to be an endless desert, waves of white sand stretching beyond the horizon. But this is no ordinary desert. As the rainy season arrives, a transformation occurs that seems like an illusion. Between the dunes, thousands of crystal-clear lagoons form, shimmering in shades of turquoise and jade, creating a sight that exists nowhere else on Earth. Walking barefoot across the dunes, the sand feels impossibly soft, sculpted into ever-shifting patterns by the relentless wind. The lagoons, formed by trapped rainwater unable to drain through the impervious rock beneath, offer an oasis like no other. Some are deep enough to swim in, their cool, translucent waters providing a surreal contrast against the sun-scorched sands. Few places on Earth feel as untouched as Lençóis Maranhenses. There are no roads, no cities, only endless dunes, their curves glowing gold beneath the setting sun. The silence here is profound, broken only by the rustle of the wind and the distant call of migrating birds. As night falls, the sky ignites with stars, their reflections shimmering upon the water-filled valleys, creating a landscape that feels as if it belongs to another planet. Despite its remoteness, those who venture here find themselves drawn into a world of hidden wonders. In the small fishing village of Athens, life moves to the rhythm of the tides. Hammocks sway lazily beneath palm-thatched roofs, while locals cook fresh seafood over open flames, the scent of grilled prawns mingling with the salty breeze. It is a place that offers no luxury except the luxury of time. Time to watch the sunset paint the sky, to lose oneself in the rolling dunes, to exist in a moment of pure tranquility. From the scorching sands of Brazil to a place where ice and fire collide, Patagonia's Perito Moreno Glacier stands as one of the last great wonders of the natural world, a frozen colossus of unfathomable scale and power. This immense river of ice stretches for nearly 19 miles, its jagged peaks and deep crevasses glowing with an eerie blue light, as if frozen in time itself. Unlike most glaciers, which are retreating due to climate change, Perito Moreno remains defiant, advancing inch by inch, reshaping the landscape as it moves. It is a living, breathing force of nature. Visitors stand in hushed reverence on viewing platforms as towering walls of ice calve into the waters below, the thunderous crack echoing across the valley like cannon fire. The icebergs that break away drift like ghostly monoliths across the turquoise waters of Lago Argentino, their forms sculpted by wind and waves into fleeting masterpieces. High in the mountains of China's Sichuan province, hidden within a remote valley of mist and legend, lies a place so otherworldly it feels like a dream made real. Zhujiagu Valley, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, is a landscape of astonishing beauty, a place where jade-green lakes reflect golden forests, where waterfalls tumble from ancient cliffs, and where the seasons paint the land in an ever-changing masterpiece of colors. Stepping into Zhujiagu is like entering an enchanted realm. The valley, carved by glaciers and fed by pure mountain springs, is home to some of the most mesmerizing lakes in the world. Five Flower Lake, the crown jewel of the park, is a vision of impossible hues. Turquoise, emerald, and sapphire blending seamlessly in a kaleidoscope of shifting color. Beneath its crystalline surface, fallen trees from centuries past lie frozen in time, their skeletal forms visible through the perfectly transparent water. But Zhujiagu is more than its lakes. The Pearl Shoal waterfall cascades in delicate curtains over terraced limestone formations, its waters gleaming in the sunlight like liquid silver. In autumn, when the valley erupts into a blaze of crimson, amber, and gold, the waterfall becomes a shimmering ribbon threading through a forest of fire. The sight is so breathtaking that it feels almost unreal, a place conjured from ancient Chinese poetry rather than carved by nature. Throughout the valley, Tibetan villages dot the hillsides, their prayer flags fluttering in the crisp mountain air. Smoke rises from wooden homes, carrying the scent of butter tea and incense. A reminder that this land is not only a wonder of nature, but also a sacred place, deeply woven into the spiritual fabric of its people. Far from the misty mountains of China, another world of water and stone awaits. One that could not be more different yet is just as extraordinary. Deep in the remote deserts of Arizona, hidden within the heart of the Havasupai tribal lands, lies Havasu Falls, an oasis of impossible beauty in a land of sun-scorched rock. Reaching Havasu Falls is no easy feat. The journey begins with a grueling 10-mile trek through the parched, red rock canyons of the Grand Canyon's lesser-known western reaches. The sun blazes overhead, and the air is thick with the scent of dust and creosote. But then, like a mirage materializing from the heat, the canyon floor opens to reveal a paradise so vibrant it seems almost unnatural. Here, amidst the burnt orange cliffs, waterfalls of the purest turquoise tumble into shimmering pools, their waters imbued with minerals that give them an almost luminous glow. Havasu Falls, the most famous of them all, plunges nearly 100 feet over a limestone ledge, its waters crashing into an electric blue basin framed by lush green vegetation. The contrast between the vivid water and the fiery rock is surreal, as if nature itself has defied logic to create something utterly unique. But Havasu Falls is just the beginning. Further down the canyon, Mooney Falls roars with untamed power, cascading 200 feet down a sheer cliff face into a mist-shrouded pool below. The descent to its base is an adventure in itself. Carved footholds, chains, and ladders guide the way through a near-vertical rock face, the air thick with the thunderous sound of falling water. Those who dare the descent are rewarded with a view so raw and powerful that it takes the breath away. The Havasupai people, whose name means people of the blue-green waters, have lived in this canyon for centuries, their lives deeply intertwined with the land and its sacred waters. To visit this place is to step into a world where time moves differently, where the only sounds are the rush of waterfalls and the wind whispering through the canyon walls. From the searing heat of the desert to a place where ice reigns supreme, another wonder lies hidden at the edge of the world. In the remote wilderness of Greenland, where glaciers stretch to infinity and the auroras dance in the endless night, the Ilulissat ice fjord stands as a testament to nature's raw and untamed power. This vast expanse of ice and water is one of the most active glacier calving sites on the planet. The Sermek-Kujalek Glacier, one of the fastest moving in the world, sends massive icebergs crashing into the fjord, where they drift like frozen monoliths towards the open sea. Some are the size of skyscrapers, their jagged peaks glowing with an ethereal blue, remnants of snow that fell thousands of years ago, now locked within the ice. Standing at the edge of the Ilulissat ice fjord, the silence is immense. Then, a distant rumble, like thunder rolling across the sky, signals that another section of the glacier has given way. Moments later, an enormous slab of ice breaks free, crashing into the water with a force so powerful it sends waves rippling across the fjord. The spectacle is mesmerizing and humbling, a reminder that in this frozen wilderness, nature is still in command. For those who venture beyond the shore, the experience becomes even more surreal. Kayaking through the labyrinth of icebergs, the scale of the landscape becomes overwhelming. Towering ice walls rise on either side, their surfaces sculpted by wind and water into intricate patterns of ridges and crevices. Seals bask on floating ice, their dark forms stark against the glowing white, while humpback whales surface in the frigid waters, exhaling misty plumes into the Arctic air. As night falls, the true magic of Greenland reveals itself. The sky erupts in a celestial firestorm, the northern lights unfurling in ribbons of green and violet, their ghostly glow reflecting off the ice-choked waters below. It is a sight so astonishing that it defies words, a reminder of how small and fleeting human existence is in the face of the ancient forces that shape our world. Deep within the jungles of Venezuela, a world of unimaginable beauty lies hidden from all but the most intrepid travelers. The Gran Sabana, an ancient land of towering plateaus and plunging waterfalls, is home to one of the Earth's most breathtaking sights, Angel Falls. Plunging from the cloud-wreathed summit of Ollantaytambo, this colossal cascade is the tallest uninterrupted waterfall on the planet. A torrent of water that drops nearly 3,200 feet before dissolving into a misty veil far below. Reaching Angel Falls is no simple task. There are no roads to this sacred place, no highways to guide the way. Instead, the journey begins in the small town of Canaima, where light aircraft weave through the jungle-clad tepuis, their wings skimming past cliffs that rise like forgotten fortresses from the dense rainforest below. From there, wooden canoes glide through the winding waters of the Carao River, their bows cutting through the mist as jungle sounds echo from the towering canyon walls. Then, at last, the falls appear. First as a distant ribbon of white against the dark stone of Ollantaytambo, then as a thunderous roar that fills the air. The sheer scale of Angel Falls is impossible to comprehend until you stand at its base, gazing upward into the swirling clouds that shroud its summit. Here, in the heart of Venezuela's lost world, time stands still, and nature reveals itself in its purest, most humbling form. Far from the dense jungles of South America, another towering marvel rises from the earth. a mountain so uniquely sculpted by time that it seems almost alien. Nestled in the Canadian Rockies, Moraine Lake is a spectacle of nature that defies the imagination. Set within the Valley of the 10 Peaks, its waters glow with an impossible shade of blue, a result of glacial silt refracting the sunlight in a dazzling display of color. As dawn breaks over the mountains, the first light of day spills across the water, setting it ablaze with hues of turquoise and sapphire. The stillness is absolute, broken only by the distant call of a loon or the rustling of the towering pines that line the shore. To paddle across these waters is to glide through a dream, the peaks towering above like silent guardians, their snow-capped summits reflected perfectly in the glassy surface below. For those who seek adventure, Moraine Lake offers more than just serenity. Trails wind through the valley, leading to vistas so breathtaking they seem almost unreal. The Rockpile Trail, though short, rewards hikers with the iconic panoramic view of the lake, its impossible colors framed by the rugged majesty of the mountains. Further beyond, the Sentinel Pass Trail winds through larch forests that turn to gold in the autumn, offering a view that stretches endlessly across the wild heart of the Canadian Rockies. As night falls, the lake takes on a different kind of beauty. Beneath the vast expanse of the Milky Way, the landscape is transformed into a realm of shadows and starlight, where the silence is broken only by the whisper of the wind through the trees. In this place, where the air is crisp and the wilderness untamed, one cannot help but feel a profound sense of awe, a connection to something greater than oneself, something eternal. But even in a world of towering peaks and cascading waterfalls, some of the most surreal landscapes are found not in the mountains, but in the deserts. Deep in the remote wilderness of Saudi Arabia, hidden within the vast emptiness of the Arabian Peninsula, lies a place so hauntingly beautiful that it has been called the edge of the world. Here, the land drops away in sheer, unbroken cliffs that stretch for miles, their jagged edges standing defiant against the vast desert that sprawls into infinity. From the summit of these towering escarpments, the view is beyond words, a horizon that seems endless, a silence so profound it feels as if the earth itself is holding its breath. This ancient landscape was once a seabed, long before time sculpted into the towering limestone formations that now define its eerie beauty. Fossilized corals and shells still litter the ground, remnants of a vanished ocean that once covered this land. Today, the only movement comes from the shifting sands far below, the dunes rolling in silent waves beneath the ever-changing sky. To stand at the edge of the world is to feel truly small, to gaze upon a landscape that existed long before human footsteps ever touched its surface. The wind howls across the cliffs, carrying with it the stories of travelers who have wandered these lands for centuries. Bedouin traders, explorers, and those who seek the unknown. But the wonders of the desert do not end here. Further south, in the Rub al-Khali, the empty quarter, another marvel awaits. This is the largest continuous sand desert on Earth, an expanse of golden dunes that rise and fall like a frozen sea. Some towers over 800 feet high, their ridges sculpted into intricate patterns by the ceaseless winds. At sunset, the desert is set aflame in hues of amber and crimson, the shadows stretching endlessly across the dunes in a landscape that feels both infinite and untouched. For those who dare to venture into this unforgiving wilderness, the experience is unlike any other. The silence is absolute, a void so complete that it becomes almost deafening. At night, beneath a sky untouched by city lights. The stars blaze with an intensity rarely seen elsewhere, their light casting a soft glow upon the dunes, turning the desert into an ethereal dreamscape. Yet even in this vast emptiness, life endures. The Bedouins, the desert's ancient guardians, have navigated these sands for generations, their knowledge of the land passed down through centuries. To sit beneath their tents, sharing sweet tea by the fire, is to experience a culture as enduring as the desert itself. A reminder that even in the most inhospitable places, the human spirit finds a way to thrive. Where the mountains bow to the plains of Puebla, an eerie marvel lies tucked within the earth, a cavernous dreamscape known as Grutas Carmidas. These caves are not carved by men, but sculpted by the patience of millennia, shaped drop by drop, layer by layer, into subterranean cathedrals of wonder. Descending into the cave is like entering another dimension. The light dims, the air cools, and the walls shimmer with mineral frost. Silence deepens, broken only by the sound of dripping water echoing into the abyss. Inside, the world transforms. Stalactites and stalagmites rise and fall like frozen waterfalls, their surfaces catching glimmers from the lanterns of explorers. Some formations resemble animals in mid-prowl. Others mimic the folds of curtains or the wings of angels. There is a room known as El Salón de los Diamantes, the Hall of Diamonds, where the walls glitter as though dusted with stars. In another, named El Templo, the stone pillars stretch so high they vanish into shadow, like the columns of some forgotten divine hall. Each step reveals a new chamber, a new secret. The cave feels alive, breathing in rhythms too slow to hear. Touching the stone is like placing your hand on the memory of the earth itself. And in those depths, disconnected from sunlight and sky, one becomes startlingly aware of the miracle of light. When you return to the surface, the sun feels warmer, the colors brighter, the air more vibrant. Grutas Carmidas doesn't just show you beauty, it recalibrates your sense of awe, carving a graceful arc through a canyon that seems too grand to belong to this world. Granite walls rise on either side like the open pages of a colossal book, each etched with the stories of ice and time. This is Lamoille Canyon, a glacial corridor nestled within the Ruby Mountains. It appears suddenly, without warning, an amphitheater of stone and sky unfurling before you. Every turn reveals something unexpected, a ribbon waterfall tumbling over polished rock, a meadow carpeted in wildflowers, a bald eagle circling lazily overhead. At Island Lake, silence hangs heavy in the air, broken only by the occasional splash of a fish breaking the surface. The lake mirrors the jagged peaks that stand like guardians around it, their reflections trembling slightly in the crystalline water. In the early morning, mist rises from the surface, softening the edges of the world until everything seems to hover between dream and waking. Hiking trails spider out in every direction, each one leading to a new fragment of wonder. The Thomas Canyon Trail curls upward into dense stands of aspen and fir, offering glimpses of hidden grottos and panoramic views that stretch for miles across the basin below. In autumn, the entire canyon ignites with color. Aspen leaves catch fire in hues of gold and amber, and the air takes on the crisp scent of change. The wind rustles the canopy in a whispering hush, as if the forest itself is pausing to admire its own transformation. At dusk, the granite cliffs blush in the last light of day, turning soft pink, then lavender, then deep, solemn blue. The stars arrive one by one, scattered like diamonds across the sky. Lamoille becomes a cathedral, and the night air rings with reverence. There are no crowds here, no tour buses, just you, the trail, and a world so exquisite it almost aches to witness it. Hidden away in a forgotten fold of the South Pacific lies an atoll so remote it has no airstrip, no cruise port, and barely a whisper in guidebooks. But Palmerston Island, part of the Cook Islands, is a celestial secret floating in a cradle of sapphire blue. From above, it looks like a halo, a ring of coral islets encircling a lagoon of such pristine clarity, it seems to pulse with light. Fewer than 50 people call it home, descendants of one British sailor and his 3 Polynesian wives, their lineage preserved in voices that carry English words wrapped in Pacific cadence. The journey to Palmerston is not convenient. Days on open water, navigating by stars and current, mark the only passage. But for those who reach it, the reward is an intimacy with earth rarely felt. The sea here is a living thing, bioluminescent, teeming, translucent. Beneath its surface, coral gardens bloom in impossible colors. Giant clams the size of barrels rest among anemones, and sea turtles glide like ancient kings. Time folds itself softly over the island, settling into the rhythms of tide and wind. There are no hotels, no shops. Visitors are adopted by families, fed with coconut-laced breadfruit and fresh parrotfish caught mere hours before. Hammocks swing from palms that were planted by ancestors long since returned to the sea. At night, constellations seem to descend closer, mirrored in the lagoon until it becomes unclear where sky ends and water begins. Palmerston doesn't just exist far from the world, it exists outside of it. Perched atop a remote peak in the eastern Himalayas of Bhutan, the fortress monastery of Luense Dzong overlooks a river valley forgotten by time. It clings to a crag like a vision from another world, its golden roofs gleaming under sun-streaked clouds, walls rising defiantly from rock. The journey to reach it is a pilgrimage through winding roads carved into mountain ridges, past prayer wheels that spin endlessly in the wind, and forests alive with the whisper of unseen spirits. When you arrive, you hear only the chants of monks reverberating through incense-filled halls, the slow tolling of bells, and the wind that sings through the banners. Built in the 17th century, Luense Dzong is not just a fortress. It is a living poem, a sanctum where past and present embrace in silence. From its balconies, you can see the Emerald River threading through the valley like a sacred cord, binding earth to sky. Butter lamps flicker within the temple walls, casting shifting patterns of light on golden deities and ancient murals. You breathe, and even your breath seems reverent. This is not a place to merely visit. It is a place to feel yourself small, to be humbled, to be still. In Luense, time kneels before spirit, and the soul hears something older than history, a language spoken only by mountains and gods. Deep in the Ozark highlands of Arkansas, lost among whispering trees and shifting fog, there lies a place called Hawksbill Crag, known locally as Whitaker Point. To reach it is to follow the rhythm of the forest, damp leaves underfoot, the perfume of pine and decaying wood, shafts of sunlight like golden arrows piercing the canopy. The hike is neither grueling nor trivial. It's meditative. As you move through thickets and mossy hollows, the world grows quieter, the trees taller, the shadows deeper, and then, abruptly, the land ends. The crag juts out from a cliffside like the beak of a giant bird, suspended in air, defying reason. From its edge, the wilderness spreads in every direction. Waves of rolling hills blanketed in green or red or gold, depending on the season. Mist drifts through the valleys, rising like spirits from the underworld, while birds soar beneath your feet, tracing lazy arcs in the silence. Stand on that stone perch, and time loosens its grip. Your breath slows, your gaze softens. Everything else, noise, obligation, distraction, falls away. There is no cell signal here, no souvenir shop, just stone, sky, and solitude. Hawksbill Crag is the kind of place people dream of without knowing it. It's not designed, it simply exists. And because of that, it feels like the truth. Sit long enough at the edge, and the wind begins to carry your thoughts away, scattering them across the forest like leaves. It's a place that doesn't shout its beauty. It whispers it directly into your chest. And long after you've left, you'll still feel the weight of that silence, still see the endless tapestry of wild hills, and still crave the moment when you stood at the world's edge and felt, even for a breath, completely and beautifully still. Tucked deep within the Yucatan Peninsula, beyond the well-trodden ruins and crowded cenotes, lies a forgotten city swallowed by the jungle, Ekbalam, the Black Jaguar. Unlike its famous cousin Chichen Itza, this ancient Maya citadel remains uncrowded, almost hidden beneath the dense tangle of chaybas and strangler figs. The air is thick with the scent of orchids and damp stone, and every step echoes with the quiet insistence of history. You don't just walk through Ekbalam, you are absorbed by it. Massive Acropolis walls rise from the forest floor, their carvings remarkably intact, their messages whispered through time. One structure in particular commands reverence, the El Trono, the throne, where a gaping jaguar's mouth frames the tomb of a long-dead king. The figure is both sculpture and portal, inviting you not just into a burial chamber, but into the mythology of a civilization that worshipped the stars and mapped the spirit world. Climb its steps, and you rise above the canopy, above the endless green, until the jungle becomes a sea, and you are its solitary ship, drifting on a tide of leaves. There is a silence here that feels sacred, punctuated only by the call of toucans or the chatter of spider monkeys swinging above. Vines coil like serpents around the limestone, and shafts of light cut through the branches like golden daggers. The energy is not dramatic, but deeply ancestral, as if the stones themselves hum with memory. As you explore, you begin to see the outlines of plazas, temples, and ball courts that once thrummed with life. Ekbalam is a ghost city, yes, but it is not dead. It dreams in green and stone and sky, waiting for those quiet enough to hear its breath. Beyond the well-traveled paths of eastern Nevada, where vast valleys cradle distant memories and ancient sky, lies the hidden wild of Weepa Spring Wilderness. It is not the kind of place you stumble upon. You must seek it, earn it. Tucked within the Seaman Range, this landscape unfolds like a forgotten tale, dense, mysterious, and humming with the presence of the past. Here, forests of ponderosa pine rise like columns in a cathedral, their orange bark glowing in the early light. It is the largest stand of its kind in eastern Nevada, stretching across ridges and gullies, casting long, cool shadows over the land. The scent of resin and crushed needles follows your every step, grounding you in a place where life clings fiercely to even the driest soil. Beneath this canopy, sunlight breaks in golden rays, illuminating the forest floor in dappled warmth. Wander further, and the land begins to twist. Shale and sandstone rise in sculpted forms, hoodoos leaning against the sky like ancient sentinels. Natural arches carve windows through stone, framing vistas of layered ridgelines and sky. And then there are the canyons, narrow and serpentine, where walls of volcanic rock loom high overhead, decorated with the faded etchings of time itself. Petroglyphs whisper from the stone, left behind by those who knew these valleys before maps, before borders, before names. The sound here is not silence, but depth. The wind, the rustle of mule deer through the underbrush, the cry of a hawk circling high above. It all becomes a language, unspoken but understood. Weepa Spring is not just a refuge for wildlife. It is a living memory of Nevada's untamed soul. You don't conquer this place. You listen to it. You let it reveal itself slowly, like a story told in riddles. There are no guided tours, no manicured trails, only footprints and intuition, guiding you along dry washes and rocky ledges. At night, campfires flicker low, their light barely reaching the darkness that presses in from all sides. The stars here are wild and endless, strewn across the heavens with reckless abundance. Coyotes call across the gulches, their voices carrying far under the clear sky. In Weepa Spring Wilderness, you touch something elemental, not just nature, but raw creation, the heave and sigh of earth in its purest form. It's not just a place to visit, it's a place to remember who you are beneath everything else. Tucked within the folds of northern Albania's accursed mountains, just shy of myth, is a place so ethereal it feels conjured. Blue Eye, or Siri Aikalter. It emerges from the earth as if the planet itself is peering back at you, a spring of impossible clarity and color. But to call it simply beautiful is to understate. It is not just the eye of Albania, it is its heartbeat. The water, a liquid gem of peacock blues and crystalline whites, bubbles up from a depth no diver has yet reached. Scientists have plunged over 50 meters into its center, and still the origin of its source remains unknown. It churns constantly, a perfect circle of sapphire in a forest of emerald, framed by ancient oaks and lichen-slicked stone. To reach it, you pass through countryside where donkeys carry hay across dirt paths, and shepherds call out from fields quilted in golden grasses. The forest thickens, and the path narrows. Then, there it is, glowing in a sun-dappled clearing, the spring surrounded by silence and birdsong. It's cold, impossibly so, even in the heat of midsummer. The kind of cold that bites, that reminds you you're trespassing on something sacred. The blue eye doesn't roar, it murmurs, but the effect is profound. There is a magnetism to it, a spiritual pull, as if the spring is both a portal and a mirror. You leave not just cooled, but changed, quieted in some essential way, as though it has looked through you and found you wanting, and loved you anyway. Beneath the thick canopy of Laos's hidden wilderness, obscured by jungles that breathe with mist and myth, lies the Pho Hin Poon National Protected Area, an untouched domain of limestone cathedrals and secret river caverns. It is not well known. There are no tour buses, no queues, no polished platforms, only the breath of ancient earth and the song of unseen birds. Karst formations rise like petrified titans from the forest floor, their surfaces wrapped in moss and time. Among them, rivers vanish into underground labyrinths, disappearing for miles only to re-emerge in glassy pools, guarded by ferns and orchids. The Konglor Cave, one of the many hidden within this reserve, stretches for over 7 kilometers, a subterranean tunnel carved by a quiet river over 1,000 years. Visitors must journey by small boat in utter darkness, guided only by the glow of headlamps and the soft lapping of water against stone. Inside, the silence is immense, almost devout. broken only by the occasional flutter of bats or the murmured gasp of awe. As you emerge, the jungle reclaims the horizon with ferocity, its canopy swaying like the breath of some sleeping giant. Pho Hin Pound isn't on postcards. It's a secret nature still guards jealously, and each step within it feels like stepping backward through the calendar of the world. Carved deep into the Mojave Desert, hidden between the cracked earth and sun-bleached horizons, lies the ethereal wonder of the Mojave lava tubes. This is no Grand Canyon, no postcard vista. It's a doorway into the underground, a place that swallows light and breath and gives them back in something close to magic. From above, it's unassuming, just a dirt turnoff along a dusty road, a stairwell cut into blackened basalt. But descend those iron steps and the world above disappears. A chill brushes your skin, sharp and unexpected, as the desert heat fades into silence. You step into darkness, thick, absolute, and then raise your eyes. Above you, a skylight. A portal punched through ancient volcanic stone. Beams of sunlight stab through in stark columns, tangible as silver spears. Dust floats in the shafts like suspended stars. It feels like entering the lungs of the earth. The rock walls are smooth, scorched, and pocked with textures shaped by explosive birth. Walk further in, and the silence grows deeper, interrupted only by the echo of your own footfalls. Light becomes a memory. But turn back, just enough, and that beam, that celestial spotlight, slices through again. It doesn't just illuminate, it blesses. The entire chamber is baptized in radiance, and for a moment, you understand what it means to feel the divine in stone and shadow. The lava tubes aren't wide, they're not tourist polished, and that's their strength. You crawl, duck, emerge. You move through them like a secret. And when you climb back into the light, blinking into the blazing sky, you don't leave the tubes behind. They cling to you. In the silence you carry, in the weight of what you saw, a sunbeam falling through ancient fire into the hidden dark. Deep in the Sierra Gorda of Querétaro, where dense jungle collides with golden light and karst cliffs loom like sentinels, the town of Bucareli sleeps in the shadow of a dream. It is a place of stone and silence, watched over by the skeletal ruins of an unfinished monastery, the Convento de Bucareli. Built in the 18th century and abandoned before completion, its crumbling arches and forgotten walls now house moss, doves, and the occasional flash of a butterfly wing. The air buzzes with life, yet carries the weight of stories left unsaid. The monastery is surrounded by terrain so varied it seems impossible. Tropical forest gives way to desert brush, and in the space of a short hike, waterfalls and cactus gardens share the same frame. Trails wind along the cliffs, opening onto vistas that stretch past the clouds. Far below, the river snakes silver through a labyrinth of stone. The light here is different, purer, more direct, as if touched by divine brushstroke. Visitors rarely come, and those who do often whisper as they walk among the ruins. There is a reverence in the air, not of religion, but of recognition. Something sacred lives here, not in dogma, but in decay. The crumbling walls, half swallowed by vines, are more than ruins. They are reminders that beauty lies in the unfinished, that silence speaks in echoes, that some places do not need to be completed to feel whole. As dusk gathers in Bucareli, the shadows deepen and the stars begin to shimmer behind the broken spires. And for a moment, it is as if time has bowed its head in respect. In a land shaped by extremes, where silence is deeper than thought and space seems to expand with every blink. There lies a cavern system so intricate, so delicately veiled, that its existence feels like a myth whispered among desert winds. This is the Lehman Caves, a realm of shadow and stone hidden beneath the surface of Great Basin National Park. From the outside, the mountain appears still, solemn, unknowable. But step inside, and you enter a world sculpted by time and water with otherworldly patience. The temperature drops, the air grows still, and then it unfolds. Galleries of mineral wonder, passageways etched with precision and beauty, ceilings that drip with shimmering daggers of calcite. Lehman Caves isn't vast in scale like the caverns of other states. It is intimate, intricate. The Grand Palace, the largest chamber, lives up to its name with elaborate formations that seem plucked from fantasy. Shields of rock, thin, curved, and impossibly balanced, line the walls like forgotten relics. Stalactites hang like chandeliers, their crystal tips glinting in the artificial light. Stalagmites rise in stoic silence, shaped over eons by single drops of water falling from the same exact point above. There are flowstones here that look like frozen waterfalls, their surfaces polished by time. Curtains of rock ripple like fabric caught mid-motion. In one chamber, the formation known as the parachute seems to defy gravity, a delicate veil of stone suspended between ceiling and floor. Light is used sparingly and respectfully, illuminating only what needs to be seen, leaving the rest in gentle mystery. But it's not just beauty that fills these caves. It's a sense of depth that goes beyond geology. Standing in the silence, it becomes easy to imagine ancient spirits dwelling here, or the whispered prayers of those who might have once found shelter in its protective dark. You can feel it in your chest, that subtle pressure of stone and space. It's as if the mountain is listening, and has always been. The guides here are storytellers, blending science with legend. They speak in reverent tones, drawing attention to the fragility of the formations. A single touch can leave oil that halts the growth of a stalactite for centuries. And so, you walk slowly, respectfully. Every step echoes. Every breath feels shared with the cavern itself. Outside, the mountain rises again into sky. The transition from underground to daylight is disorienting. The brightness is blinding at first, but you leave changed. A little quieter, a little more in awe of the world's unseen miracles. Lehman Caves does not clamor for attention. It waits. And for those who descend into its mystery, it offers a glimpse into the Earth's slow, secret soul. Far from any main highway, cradled by the fierce quiet of Nevada's volcanic highlands, lies a place where the Earth burns with color. Monte Cristo's castle. It's not marked on most tourist maps, nor does it welcome crowds. Instead, it sits in solitude, tucked into the Monte Cristo range like a well-kept secret. But those who find it discover something extraordinary. A riot of rock and pigment, frozen mid-chaos, where the desert explodes with surreal form. The formations here rise from the ground like ancient fortresses, spires, towers, and battlements carved by wind and time. Cradled in the desolate expanse of Tanzania's Rift Valley is a place that defies logic, a liquid mirror tinged in blood and mystery, Lake Natron. Its name is quiet, but the lake is anything but. It stretches like a wound across the landscape, water as red as spilled wine, as corrosive as lye. The surface ripples with the glow of something prehistoric, a place where myth and mortality blend. The air is harsh. The heat licks the land into hallucination. Temperatures can reach beyond 120 degrees Fahrenheit, and the alkalinity of the lake is near that of ammonia. Anything unadapted that dares to linger too long becomes calcified, entombed in ash, preserved like statues in a salt-seared shrine. Yet impossibly, life flourishes. Here, lesser flamingos come in throngs, millions of them, drawn to the lake's alien chemistry. Their plumage blazes against the scarlet backdrop, a ballet of birds performing over waters that could petrify a man. Their nests are built on salty ridges, delicate islands in a sea that would burn human skin. And in the silence, when the wind stills, you feel it. The tension between beauty and peril, between life and oblivion. Lake Natron does not welcome. It dares. It warns. And in its defiance of comfort lies a deeper, unnerving allure. A reminder that not all wonder is gentle, and not all danger is devoid of beauty. In a remote corner of northern Yemen, where the desert rises into fierce stone plateaus, a city clings to the cliffs as if stitched from myth. Al-Hajara. This ancient mountain fortress appears like a mirage carved into vertical stone, its tall stone towers rising straight from the rock itself, etched with intricate patterns and stories of empires long faded. Time moves differently here. The alleyways are narrow and shaded, paved with cobblestones smoothed by centuries of bare feet. The homes, built from local stone and mud, seem to glow at golden hour, their high windows catching light like lanterns of the past. Children laugh in doorways, goats navigate the steep steps with practiced ease, and the scent of cardamom and roasted coffee lingers in the air. But the real marvel is the view. From any rooftop, the landscape unfurls like an endless ocean of ridges and canyons, shifting in hue from copper to rose as the sun moves. Al-Hajara doesn't ask for attention. It breathes quietly, proud and self-contained, weathering centuries of wind and war. It is a living monument to human endurance and beauty, a sanctuary suspended above the sands, where history is not remembered, it is lived. In the sun-scorched desert east of San Diego, where the land seems too barren for beauty, there rises a surreal sanctuary of stone, the wind-sculpted world of Anza Borrego's slot canyons. These narrow, winding passageways slice through golden sandstone like veins through ancient skin. To walk them is to enter another realm. Light filters down in sheets, soft and golden, illuminating smooth walls that curve and fold like frozen waves. Each step forward is a passage deeper into silence. The temperature drops. Footsteps echo. Your hand brushes against stone still warm from the sun, as your body weaves through gaps so tight they steal your breath. At times, the sky disappears entirely, replaced by a ribbon of light that dances above your head. The earth here is not flat. It ripples and undulates in sculpted forms that defy geometry. No trail signs, no guide rails. Just you and the canyon, a dialogue between the ancient and the transient. Sometimes the walls rise 100 feet, sheer and close enough to touch both sides at once. And then suddenly, it opens. A flash flood basin scattered with polished pebbles and the bleached bones of wind-stripped wood. Time doesn't pass here. It coils. You can see the memory of water in the smoothed edges, feel the pressure of eons in every turn. The sun, when it returns, strikes the upper walls with fire, turning them molten orange while the depths remain cloaked in cool shadow. These canyons are sacred in their silence. They demand reverence, not noise. Awe, not conquest. And as you emerge, blinking into the blinding desert light once more, the world seems too loud, too modern. You'll crave the hush of sandstone, the secrets it keeps. The invitation it extends, quiet, wordless, eternal. Far removed from the chaos of beach resorts and buzzing cities, the high plains of Durango cradle a place as surreal as it is silent. Welcome to Mexiquillo, a hidden wonderland of pine forests, rock gardens, and secret waterfalls, where mist floats low over volcanic formations sculpted by ancient eruptions. The air is crisp and carries the scent of wet bark, moss, and the soft decay of pine needles, a perfume of quiet wilderness. But what truly sets this place apart is its dreamlike geometry. Boulders the size of cabins rest on delicate pedestals, gravity seemingly paused in wonder. Wander through this stone garden, and you feel more like a character in a fantasy novel than a traveler. Arches form gateways into nowhere. Tunnels appear in the underbrush that open onto waterfalls tumbling from cliffs into invisible depths. Trails here are not blazed by signs, but by intuition and curiosity. Locals say Mexiquillo is haunted, not by ghosts, but by a wild, laughing spirit that hides behind trees and flickers in the corner of your eye. It's easy to believe. This place doesn't follow the logic of landscapes. It dances. At twilight, the forest takes on a deeper magic. Fog rolls in so thick it softens every edge, turning trees into silhouettes and stones into sleeping beasts. Campfires glow like watchful eyes in the night, and the sky above is pinpricked with stars rarely seen by those who live under city light. Coyotes cry from far ridges, and the wind makes music of the needles overhead. In Mexiquillo, time doesn't pass, it hovers. Moments stretch into eternity and vanish again, like breath in the cold. Rising out of the Great Basin like the spine of some ancient beast, the Toyabe Range stretches for over 100 miles, long, lean, and seldom touched. There is no fanfare to announce it, no billboard or grand welcome sign, just a change in the horizon line, a sudden undulation of land that beckons the restless heart forward. Here lies one of Nevada's best-kept treasures, a realm of high-altitude meadows, alpine crests, and unbroken silence. The Toyabe Crest Trail is the crown jewel of this range. It winds through 75 miles of staggering elevation and breathtaking variety, crossing ridgelines where the wind sings freely and dipping into valleys that pulse with wildflowers and untouched streams. Few make the full journey, but those who do speak of it with a kind of reverence, as though recalling a sacred rite of passage. Above 10,000 feet, the world thins. You feel it in your lungs, in the slow rhythm of your steps, in the way your thoughts quiet down to a kind of stillness. The trail offers no distractions, only clarity. Marmots scamper over talus slopes, their whistles piercing the air. Golden eagles spiral overhead. Wild horses, descendants of those brought centuries ago, roam the lower reaches, manes rippling like silk in the desert wind. Every bend in the trail reveals a different facet of wonder. An alpine tarn catching the morning light like a gemstone. A cluster of quaking aspens shivering in concert. A ridge that drops away to nothingness on both sides, leaving you suspended between earth and sky. Time here loses its grip. You measure the day not by hours, but by how many mountain passes you've crossed, how many times your breath has been taken away by the view. And then there are the storms. Swift and theatrical, they roll in over the ridges with little warning, thunder growling in the bones of the mountains. Lightning dances along distant peaks, while rain sweeps across the land in silver sheets. And then, just as quickly, the sky clears. The sun returns. The mountains glisten, and the trail goes on as though nothing happened. Camping here means sleeping under stars sharp enough to pierce the soul. The Milky Way becomes a river, and every falling star seems impossibly close. Coyotes sing in the valleys, and somewhere far off, a mountain lion screams its ancient claim into the darkness. This is a place that doesn't just demand your attention, it reshapes your sense of what it means to be alive. In the Toyabe Range, the world returns to its wildest self. It asks nothing from you but presence, and in return, it offers everything. On the misty fringe of Bhutan, where the clouds sleep on mountaintops and prayer flags flutter like wings, there is a trail so elusive it seems to drift through myth, the path to Laya. A high-altitude village nestled at 3,800 meters above sea level. Laya is reachable only by foot. No vehicles touch its soil. No roads interrupt its poetry. This is not a place stumbled upon. It must be sought with intention. The journey begins in forest, dense with rhododendron and moss-cloaked pines. It climbs through gorges roaring with glacial meltwater, ascends into meadows alive with blue poppies and grazing yaks, and finally, after days of breathless ascent, arrives at the kingdom in the clouds. Laya's houses are wood and stone chalets painted in patterns that echo both the stars and the stories of its people. Women here wear conical bamboo hats draped with cloth, their smiles both shy and enduring. Children carry baskets bigger than themselves, and monks in crimson robes spin prayer wheels with hands calloused by mountain air. Every direction offers a view that silences thought. The peak of Gangchen Ta, the great tiger mountain, rises in glacial majesty nearby, its presence as much spiritual as geological. The wind carries the scent of juniper smoke, yak butter, and earth. Ceremonies spill into the open, music threaded with chanting, and the drone of long horns echoing through the passes. Laya does not exist for tourists. It exists because of them, because of the generations who endured, who chose to live in the thin air between heaven and earth. To witness it is to be reminded. The greatest marvels are not always seen by millions, but kept alive by the few who carry them in their blood. Carved into the volcanic flanks of Indonesia's Flores Island, shrouded in mist and myth, is the ancient village of Wairebo. Accessible only by foot via a long hike through dense forest and across mountain ridges, it sits perched in a high valley above the clouds, untouched by asphalt or antenna. The village is circular, its 7 traditional houses, called Membaru Niang, shaped like giant conical hats woven from bamboo and palm fiber. Each one houses multiple families under its sweeping roof, and within their smoky interiors, stories are passed from grandmothers to grandsons beside flickering hearths. The surrounding mountains hold the mist like an embrace, and the village seems to breathe with the rhythm of the earth itself. Birds sing unseen in the canopy, and at night, the stars emerge in numbers modern cities can no longer imagine. Wairebo is not a museum. It is living heritage, a community that guards its customs as fiercely as it guards its privacy. Visitors are welcomed only with ritual, after asking permission from ancestors through local ceremony. It is this blend of openness and seclusion, of ethereal beauty and deep tradition, that makes Wairebo feel like a place lifted from legend. You don't arrive here. You are invited, and only if your intentions are as pure as the mountain wind. Nestled deep within the volcanic wilderness of Central Oregon, hidden from the casual eye, lies a surreal realm known as the Painted Hills. These ancient mounds do not shout for attention. They mesmerize in silence, in subtle curves and impossible colors. Here, time becomes visible. The hills rise in soft, undulating waves of crimson, amber, gold, and gray, each band a chapter written by eons of shifting climates and ashfalls. As you walk the winding boardwalks, it feels less like hiking and more like entering a dream carefully sculpted by the earth itself. The ground underfoot is cracked and delicate, flaking into chalky patterns that shimmer under the sun like the scales of some buried mythic creature. The silence is thick, no engines, no hum of modernity, only the soft murmur of wind sweeping through the ravines. Stand before the red hill just after dawn, and the world feels hushed in reverence. The iron-rich soil ignites with the first rays, glowing like embered velvet. By noon, the yellow and gray striations come alive, breathing warmth into the dry air. These hills change with the light, with the season, with the mood of the sky. In the rain, the colors darken to bold, saturated hues, almost too vivid to believe. In winter, dustings of snow lend them an alien fragility. But no matter when you arrive, there is always that sense. This place is sacred. Not in a human way, not in a named religion, but in the way stone remembers things we never will. There are no towering cliffs, no roaring rivers, only layers of silence, color, and ancient breath. The painted hills do not perform, they simply exist. And in doing so, they make you pause, hold your breath, and listen for what the land is still trying to say. As the light shifts, shadows stretch long and soft across the folds of earth, painting the already vivid hills with deeper emotion. You move slower here, not out of effort, but awe, as if the ground itself demands respect, not to be hurried or overlooked. Each curve, each ridge, seems to whisper an untold story, some ancient lullaby sung long before humans ever arrived. There's a profound intimacy to it all. You're not gazing at a landscape, you're standing inside a memory, cradled in the patience of geological time. The very air seems charged with reverence, carrying the scent of sun-baked soil and distant juniper. Birds glide quietly overhead, and somewhere nearby, the crunch of a rabbit slipping through dry brush is the only interruption to your reverie. Here, nature speaks in subtle strokes. It doesn't need grandeur to command your soul, just honesty, just truth etched into sediment. When you leave the painted hills, it feels less like walking away and more like waking up. The colors stay behind your eyes, the silence inside your chest. You realize the land hasn't just shown you beauty, it's shown you patience, grace, and the kind of stillness that changes everything. On the edge of the Lakandan jungle, cloaked in thick canopy and steeped in the breath of ancient time, the archaeological site of Yaxchilan rests like a myth forgotten. To reach it, there is no road. Instead, travelers must board a long, narrow boat in the town of Frontera Corozal and journey down the Usumacinta River, the border between Mexico and Guatemala. The river is wide, powerful, flanked by jungle that hums with unseen life. Howler monkeys scream in the trees like echoes of the underworld, and crocodiles lurk motionless in the mud along the banks. The ruins emerge suddenly from the foliage, as if summoned by dream. Massive staircases ascend into the green, and the stone walls are still engraved with hieroglyphs and figures frozen mid-movement. Unlike the tidy monuments of more famous sites, Yaxchilan remains defiantly wild. Vines curl through ancient windows, roots burst through temple floors, and moss paints everything in a shade of living emerald. There is no crowd here, no selfie sticks or tour guides with megaphones, only the echo of your footsteps and the occasional rustle of something unseen. Inside the temples, You'll find lintels and carvings that speak of power, sacrifice, and celestial cycles. The Maya rulers depicted here stare back with unblinking eyes, their headdresses aflame with jade and feathers, their stories etched in stone. One building, known as Structure 33, rises above the rest, its roof comb like the spine of a serpent silhouetted against the sky. Standing atop it, you look out over the jungle and river, and the horizon swells with infinite green. Yaxchilan is a place where history hasn't ended. It only slumbers. Far out in the desert, beyond the reach of the ordinary world, something otherworldly rises from the sand. Red sandstone arches twist into improbable shapes. Delicate fins of rock rise like the pages of an open book caught mid-turn by the wind. Welcome to Little Finland, an alien realm tucked into a remote corner of Clark County. Known to a few by its whispered nickname, Hobgoblin's Playground, this geological dreamscape is one of Nevada's most surreal wonders. Here, nature has taken up sculpture. The formations seem to defy physics. Thin, lacy ridges of rock perched on delicate pedestals, soaring spirals frozen mid-motion. Their colors shift with every hour of sunlight, blazing deep crimson in the morning, softening to coral by noon, then glowing with golden fire as evening descends. The terrain feels alive, like a creature breathing under the surface of the sand. The ground itself undulates with petrified dunes, polished smooth in some places, rough as dragon hide in others. Wind is the eternal artist here, carving curves and grooves with patient precision. In the silence of this place, you can almost hear it working, whispering through the fins and crevices, shaping the next masterpiece. To reach Little Finland requires determination, a high-clearance vehicle, good maps, and a reverence for isolation. But those who make the journey are rewarded with an experience that feels mythic. No signposts, no barriers, just raw, impossible beauty stretching across the desert like the remnants of some forgotten dream. At night, the stars arrive in violent brightness. The Milky Way arches overhead, unchallenged by city lights, and the formations glow faintly in moonlight, as if remembering the day just passed. Wandering through Little Finland is like stepping into a world where time and reality bend, where nature dreams in stone. There's no rush here, only awe, only stillness, only the deep hum of the earth remembering its ancient art. In the sun-seared plateaus of Ethiopia's Tigray region, hidden behind sandstone cliffs that rise like fortress walls, ancient churches rest carved into the mountains themselves. These are not merely places of worship. They are acts of faith made manifest in stone. And among them, Abuna Yamata-gu stands alone, not for its beauty, but for the sheer defiance of its location. To reach it is to earn it. The journey begins with a hike through acacia-studded valleys, then steepens into a vertical scramble. Barefoot, gripping only shallow holds in the rock, pilgrims ascend sheer cliffs with no safety ropes, only trust and conviction. Then, with lungs burning and palms scraped, a narrow ledge offers passage, a hairline path over a 200-meter drop, with the wind pushing stories into your ears. And then, the final reward, a church carved into the peak of a pillar. Its facade is simple, but within, the walls explode in color. Frescoes that have endured for over 1,500 years. Saints with wide eyes and golden halos gaze from the rock, their pigments still vibrant beneath centuries of candle smoke. The air smells of beeswax, of sandalwood, of time. There are no pews, no stained glass, just stone and story. A sanctum carved not with tools alone, but with belief. The view outside is beyond words, a panorama of arid splendor, golden plains stretching into forever. It is said that here, one prays closer to heaven. Not because of the altitude, but because of the sheer will required to arrive. Abuna Yamata-gu is a marvel not because it exists, but because it persists. Perched precariously between earth and sky, between fear and faith. High in the misty Sierra Norte mountains of Oaxaca, the village of Cuajimoloyas perches like a secret whispered among the pines. The air here is thinner, perfumed with sap and wood smoke, and silence is broken only by the rustling of pine needles and the distant clatter of horse hooves. It is a place untouched by the pulse of modern life, where time moves with the rhythm of wind through the forest. The village is part of the Pueblos Mancomunados, a community-run eco-tourism initiative that protects the surrounding cloud forest with a fierce, almost sacred devotion. Here, trails meander through a landscape so ethereal it feels conjured from folklore. Moss drapes from branches like ancient garlands, and wild orchids bloom from the bark of trees as if grown by forgotten spirits. Wooden cabins with smoking chimneys peek out between the hills, their walls warmed by firelight and the scent of tortillas cooking on a comal. Trekking through these highland forests, you may stumble upon a hidden waterfall, a narrow canyon cloaked in vines, or a wooden suspension bridge that sways gently over the void. Every corner of this land offers a new secret, a new reason to believe in magic again. But perhaps what most sets Cuajimoloyas apart is its soul. The people here speak Zapotec, share stories passed down through generations, and invite visitors into their rituals, their meals, their way of life. There is no pretense, only the humbling hospitality of those who understand the true value of their land. As night falls and fog rolls down from the hills, you may find yourself huddled by a fire, sipping hot chocolate thickened with corn flour, wrapped in a woolen poncho as the stars flicker like embers in the sky. In Cuajimoloyas, you don't just visit a place, you are folded into it as gently and completely as the mist that envelops the trees. In the highlands of Papua New Guinea, hidden behind a veil of cloud forests and volcanic stone, rests a valley that glows not just with greenery, but with life at its most unfiltered, Mount Bosavi crater. A collapsed volcano in the southern highlands, its colossal caldera forms a ring around one of the last true Edens on Earth. Few human feet have tread its moss-covered floor. Fewer still have understood its heartbeat. The walls of the crater rise like broken castle ramparts, their sides draped in vines as thick as a man's arm. To descend into Bosavi is to descend into nature's original breath, untouched, unknown. This is not a place you simply hike into. It swallows you whole. Within the crater, the forest is so dense the sun becomes fragmented, its light falling in golden shards across ferns the size of elephants. This hidden world is home to dozens of species found nowhere else. Giant rats as large as cats, tree kangaroos with fur like velvet, birds whose songs mimic waterfalls and lightning strikes. The air pulses with life. Insects buzz in chromatic symphony. Frogs flash luminescent patterns, and every rustle in the underbrush could be something unclassified, waiting to be known. Waterfalls spill over the rim of the crater like liquid lace, their sounds echoing through the basin in perpetual thunder. The humidity here is total, each breath heavy with the scent of orchids, wet stone, and ancient earth. It is impossible not to feel the reverence this place commands. Mount Bosavi is not a destination, it is a primordial cathedral. One that reminds us that we have not yet mapped every wonder, nor do we deserve to. Tucked between the folds of the Caucasus Mountains in Georgia, the village of Ushguli stands defiant against time, one of the highest continuously inhabited settlements in all of Europe. Encircled by snow-capped peaks and rivers born from glaciers, it feels like the setting of a medieval epic still unfolding. Stone towers, some over 1,000 years old, rise like sentinels across the hillsides, each telling tales of bloodlines, feuds, and ancient guardianship. The villagers move with the steadiness of people who measure days in seasons, their lives etched into the rhythms of weather and pasture. Horses graze freely on meadows splashed with wildflowers, while the winds carry the sharp tang of wood smoke and alpine air. The massive silhouette of Mount Shkara, often shrouded in cloud, looms like a frozen god in the distance, its summit glowing pink at dusk. Ushguli is not accessible by haste. Reaching it is a journey through mountain passes and valleys that demand patience, and in return, offer moments of stillness so absolute that time itself seems to pause in reverence. The beauty here is not polished or curated. It is raw, rugged, and utterly real. Ushguli does not cater to wonder, it commands it. Along the deep folds of Tennessee's Cumberland Plateau, hidden beyond the reach of most maps and minds, lies a glen so enchantingly lush it feels plucked from a forgotten myth. Walls of stone wrapped in moss rise like green temples, and threading between them, dancing over smooth rock, is the silvery ribbon of the Fiery Gizzard Trail. The name alone sparks curiosity, a strange blend of fire and earth. But what it delivers is something deeper, a pilgrimage through the pulsing heart of Appalachian wilderness. The trail winds for miles, each bend revealing a new marvel. Fern-covered boulders tumble like giants' dice. Trees older than memory stretch skyward, their bark scrawled with time. But the heart of this hidden world is the gorge itself, where water tumbles in sheeted veils, and the sound of it becomes your soundtrack, an eternal hymn of motion and life. There are swimming holes here, clear as blown glass and rimmed with sun-dappled rock. There are cliffs that catch the light and hold it in amber patterns, and caves where the air tastes like stone and shadow. Butterflies flicker across the path, their wings shimmering like living stained glass, and all around, the dense breath of the forest, damp and green and humming with unseen life. Hike long enough, and you'll reach Raven Point, where the canopy parts and the entire valley spills open before you, a carpet of treetops rolling toward the horizon like a breathing thing. Few places remain this wild, this untouched, this fiercely itself. The Fiery Gizzard doesn't just offer a trail, it offers a transformation, a slow shedding of the noise and weight we carry, until all that remains is your heartbeat, your breath, and the river's song guiding you through a realm where nature reigns unbroken. On the desert plains of Coahuila, where the sun burns hot and the wind speaks in hushed tones, a surreal landscape unfolds like a hallucination. Cuatro Cienegas. It is a valley of water in a place that should be barren, a series of crystalline pools, alabaster dunes, and strange microbial ecosystems that exist nowhere else on Earth. This oasis defies expectation. Its lagoons shimmer in sapphire and aquamarine, their clarity so absolute they seem to float above the sand. Beneath their surfaces lie some of the planet's oldest life forms, microbialites, living fossils whispering the story of Earth's earliest days. Wading into the pools is an act of reverence. The water is cold, electric, impossibly blue. Fish dart between your legs, and dragonflies flit above the surface like brushstrokes on a canvas. In the distance, Red-hued mountains rise like guardians, encircling the valley with a sense of protection. And scattered throughout are gypsum dunes, pure white, soft as flour, catching the sunlight in ripples and waves. There is a strange silence here. Not absence, but presence. A presence so ancient and still, it hushes even the most talkative soul. Scientists come here to study evolution, to peer back through time. Travelers come to feel something they cannot name. Cuatro Ciénegas is not merely beautiful, it is humbling. A place where the earth reveals a piece of its origin story, and where each step feels like it echoes into the bones of the world. In the heart of southern Nevada's Mojave Desert, enveloped by volcanic ridgelines and shimmering heat mirages, lies the Ash Meadows National Wildlife Refuge, a name too humble for the surreal wonder that unfolds within. Here, in one of the driest regions of North America, water pours forth from ancient underground aquifers, feeding an oasis so vibrant, it feels like a mirage dreamt into existence. Ash Meadows is a sanctuary carved by contradiction. Crystal-clear springs emerge from the desert floor with impossible clarity. Blue beyond belief, transparent as glass. They glimmer with shades of turquoise and emerald, cradled in lush grasses and white salt flats. These waters have flowed uninterrupted for millennia, some traveling thousands of years through underground channels before surfacing here. Each spring is a world unto itself. Crystal Pool glows like liquid sapphire under the sun. Point of Rocks offers a labyrinth of boardwalks that trace across shallow, rippling pools that shimmer with life. But the water is not the only miracle. Ash Meadows is one of the most biologically unique places in the United States. It is home to more endemic species than any other wildlife refuge in the country. Tiny fish, rare insects, desert plants that grow nowhere else on Earth. The most famous of these, the Ash Meadows amargosa pupfish, glitters beneath the surface in flashes of silver blue. These fish have survived since the last ice age, adapting to scalding temperatures and fluctuating flows with an almost mythical resilience. Silence dominates here, soft and full. Wind moves through low saltbush and mesquite, rustling like whispered secrets. The sun feels ancient on your skin. Time folds here. You don't walk the boardwalks as much as you float through a dream of what the world might have been before we paved it. The smell of wet earth and sun-baked minerals rises with every step. Lizards dart across your path, impossibly quick, while hawks soar overhead in lazy spirals. Even the air feels different. Cool pockets drift from the water's edge, blending with the desert's heat in a quiet dance. You'll find yourself pausing often, not just to look, but to breathe, to feel. There is a sacredness here that no photograph can capture. It is something that seeps into your bones, into your sense of place. And then the sky begins to change. The sun descends, and the basin is bathed in soft gold. Shadows stretch across the marshlands. The springs, now mirror still, reflect the pinks and purples of the sky above. It is a closing lullaby, sung without sound. And you understand, in that moment, that Ash Meadows isn't a destination. It's a revelation. Within the labyrinth of Chilean Patagonia, deep in the lake-laced wilderness of General Carrera, nature has carved a marvel so intricate it feels designed by an artist, the Marble Caves. Known locally as the Capillas de Marmol, they rise from turquoise water like sanctuaries sculpted from moonlight. Swirled in veins of ivory, cobalt, and pearl, the walls shimmer as if still fluid, as if caught mid-metamorphosis. To arrive at the caves, one must navigate by boat across Lago General Carrera, the second largest lake in South America and one of its most pristine. The wind here is a force unto itself, whipping water into silver spindrift as snow-draped peaks tower in solemn watch. Then, as the boat rounds a quiet bend, the cathedrals of marble appear, hovering just above the water, their reflections perfect and disorienting. Inside, silence, except for the gentle lap of waves echoing across polished stone. Light refracts off the mineral walls, painting ripples of sapphire and jade in constant motion. Touch the walls, and they feel impossibly smooth, cool as shadow. These caverns were not built. They were coaxed into being by centuries of patient water, carving swirls and hollows with the artistry of time itself. No two visits are the same. The color of the water changes with the sky. Sunlight shifts and unveils new patterns. It is not a static wonder, but a living canvas, always in the act of becoming. The marble caves are not merely to be seen, they must be felt. Their silence speaks a language older than words. In the cradle of Albania's forgotten highlands, nestled between the towering walls of the accursed mountains, lies the Valbona Valley, an alpine realm so untouched, it feels as though it dreams in isolation. The road that winds into it is narrow and winding, threading through forests and alongside rivers so clear they seem spun from glass. Yet few travelers come. They pass it by, unaware that here, among the folds of limestone giants, a lost paradise whispers in solitude. The valley itself unfolds like a painter's reverie. Green meadows draped with wildflowers, steep peaks etched into the sky like jagged monuments, and waterfalls tumbling down with the gentle roar of distant thunder. Shepherds still move through these lands with the rhythms of generations before them, and the silence is broken only by the gentle clinking of goat bells and the songs of unseen birds. There are no fences, no borders, just land that breathes freely. At dawn, fog rises slowly from the riverbed, curling upward until the sunlight slices it open in golden shafts. At night, the stars crown the mountains in icy fire. Valbona isn't a tourist stop. It's a hymn in stone and breeze, a place that hides its splendor behind silence, waiting only for those willing to look without seeking. Beneath the sun-drenched skies of New Mexico, far from the neon pull of Santa Fe or the adobe rhythm of Taos, lies a sacred place known as Plaza Blanca, the White Place. This ghostly valley near Abiquiu unfolds in alabaster silence, a cathedral of pale stone carved not by faith, but by eons of wind and water. It rises suddenly from the desert scrub, otherworldly and strange, vertical walls of chalky rock spiking like frozen waves or the bones of some slumbering giant. Georgia O'Keeffe once wandered this place with brush and canvas, drawn by its stark drama and impossible light. And when you stand there, surrounded by the jagged spires, you understand. There's a kind of stillness that wraps around your chest, tight and reverent, as if the land itself is watching you. Narrow pathways twist between the cliffs, leading deeper into the stone maze. Overhead, hawks circle silently, catching thermals that drift from the canyon floor. Every angle shifts the mood. One moment the rock glows honey gold in the sun. The next it blushes lavender as clouds pass overhead. No sound here save the soft hush of breeze through crevices and the distant rustle of dry sagebrush. The air is thin, electric, alive with the quiet pulse of ancient energy. There's no entry gate, no ticket booth, just a humble dirt road and a trailhead that fades into the rocks. But what waits beyond is a realm of sacred geometry and desert breath, untouched by time and unburdened by crowd. Plaza Blanca doesn't ask for worship, but you'll feel it stir in you regardless. That awe, that wonder, that silent knowing that you are standing inside something eternal. Nestled in the highlands of Jalisco, where the road coils like a serpent through green valleys and agave fields, lies a place of mystery and legend, Tequila Volcano. While the town of Tequila attracts pilgrims of spirits and celebration, the volcano itself remains relatively untouched, a slumbering giant cloaked in forest and stone. The air grows cooler as you ascend, and the agave gives way to oaks and pines, their branches alive with birdsong. Hiking the slopes is like peeling away the layers of an ancient fable. Volcán de Tequila is not defined by lava or smoke, but by silence. Its summit, long extinct, is home to a massive crater basin over a kilometer wide, shrouded in mist and moss. Standing at its edge, the world falls away beneath your feet. Clouds drift below like wool torn from the sky, and the breeze carries the stories of Nahuatl elders who still speak of the mountain with reverence. They say the volcano guards secrets, seeds of creation and transformation buried deep in its heart. On clear days, you can see for miles the blue shimmer of Lake Chapala, the silver sprawl of the tequila fields, the quiet undulations of a land older than memory. And yet, the true magic lies in the stillness. Sit among the rocks. Let the wind pass over your skin, and you'll feel it, that ancient pulse beneath the surface. It is not loud, it does not demand, but it is steady, eternal, waiting. At the edge of the crater, time slows, and you understand that some destinations are not meant to entertain. They are meant to awaken. High in the East Humboldt Range, near the spine of Nevada's rugged backcountry, a single mirror of blue rests nestled within a ring of jagged peaks. Angel Lake. Its name sounds like a metaphor, something too poetic to be real, but the sight of it silences doubt. The lake lies cradled in a bowl of stone and wildflower-laced meadows, glimmering like a fallen shard of sky. The road that leads here, winding up from the town of Wells, ascends through layers of shifting scenery. Sagebrush plains give way to groves of aspen and pine, and the desert hush deepens into alpine stillness. In summer, the lake's surface is a painter's dream. Brush strokes of emerald and cobalt swirl in the shallows, broken only by the ripple of trout or the slow drifting of mountain clouds reflected in the water. The surrounding cliffs, streaked with mineral veins and aged lichen, rise with stern beauty, protecting this place from the winds and noise of the world below. In the early morning, mists roll over the surface like breath from the mountain itself, curling gently into the sky before vanishing with the first warming light. Wildflowers bloom in a defiant chorus of color along the trails. Purple lupine, Indian paintbrush, and golden aster, flourishing in the brief, brilliant window of summer. The trailhead near the lake's edge offers passage deeper into the high country. A short but steep climb takes you to a hidden ridge where the entire valley unfurls beneath your feet. A vast ocean of desert stretching toward every horizon, while behind you, the mountain still holds snow in secret hollows. And yet, despite its ease of access, Angel Lake remains uncrowded. There are no souvenir shops, no cafes serving espresso beside the trail. Just the sound of wind rustling through the evergreens and birdsong echoing faintly from rock to rock. You may find yourself entirely alone at the lake's edge, the only witness to a sunset that turns the sky to fire and the cliffs to bronze. In such moments, Angel Lake feels less like a destination and more like a reward for choosing silence over spectacle, solitude over schedule. As the day fades and dusk creeps in, Stars begin to show themselves one by one. High in the mountains, far from city light, they gather in dazzling clusters, mirrored faintly on the lake's glassy surface. The silence becomes profound, an embrace. In the heart of Nevada, where few look, Angel Lake waits, timeless, unspoken, complete. Far out in the Arabian Sea, where ocean mist paints the morning air with a veil of strangeness, lies Socotra, a name that sounds like spellwork and a place that lives up to it. The island rises like a dream cast away from the continent, a splinter of land where evolution has taken a different path entirely. Here, the alien is natural. Here, the rules of the familiar have been rewritten. The dragon's blood tree stretches its strange arms to the sky, bizarre, umbrella-shaped, crimson-sapped. It is not merely a tree, but an ancient sentinel of botanical time. Beneath its shade, the ground is cracked like parched skin, and thorned shrubs curl as if drawn by an artist with a penchant for the surreal. Over a third of the island's flora exists nowhere else on Earth. You wander through white dunes that flow into turquoise waters, past caves that echo with forgotten voices, along canyons scorched golden by a relentless sun. Frankincense perfumes the breeze, blending with salt and wind and something wilder, something primal. Time here folds. You could be on Earth's past, or its future, or neither. Socotra is the space between. There is no chaos here, only the harmony of wildness. Goats perch on cliff faces like mountain spirits, and glowing fish glide through coral shallows that flicker like underwater cathedrals. You do not visit Socotra. You are absorbed by it. You dissolve into it. It is an island that makes you question where Earth ends and magic begins. Carved into the limestone cliffs of Bohol in the Philippines, the Kadaptapan rice terraces shimmer like liquid stairways under the tropical sun. Unlike the famous terraces of Banaue, these remain largely unknown beyond the local community, hidden in the folds of a province known more for its beaches than its mountains. Here, the earth itself has been coaxed into an art form, each terrace meticulously carved by hand over generations. They wind down the mountainside like the grooves of a giant's fingerprint, lush and luminous. Water flows gently from level to level, catching the sunlight in 1,000 glints, while the surrounding palms sway in rhythm to the warm breeze. Mist drapes the higher slopes in the early morning, and the terraces become a world suspended between heaven and earth. Farmers in woven hats move quietly through the green, their motion a slow dance of symbiosis with the land. This is not a spectacle curated for visitors. It is life unfolding at its own rhythm, immune to the rush of time. The Kadaptapan rice terraces are a hymn sung in verdant harmony, a whisper from the earth reminding us that beauty is often hidden in the overlooked, the humble, the slow. To walk here is to step into a living tapestry of nature and tradition, layered in emerald light. In the far northwest corner of Washington, where the land splinters into fingers of forest and fog, lies the mystical enclave of Cape Flattery. Here, the continent exhales for the final time before falling into the Pacific, and the world sharpens into wind, salt, and sky. Dense rainforest gives way to jagged cliffs that tumble into restless waters, and the scent of wet cedar follows you down wooden boardwalks worn smooth by the tread of curious wanderers. As you emerge at the edge, it feels like stepping beyond the map. The sea roars below, and massive sea stacks rise like stone titans from the foam. Their silhouettes shift with the mist, and seabirds circle them in endless dance. The cliffs are stained in deep rust and emerald moss, carved into grottos and arches by centuries of surf and storm. The Pacific slams against the shore with a thunder that you feel in your chest, not just your ears. Stand long enough, and the clouds themselves seem to lean in closer. Cape Flattery doesn't unfold with loud color or glamour. It's a place of texture and breath, of subtlety and shadow. When the light breaks through, it's as if the world has opened an eyelid. The water gleams jade and indigo, and somewhere out beyond the horizon, whales breach and vanish like myths too shy to stay. You are standing on the ancestral land of the Makah people, and the spirit of the place hums under every root and stone. This is the edge of the earth, not because of geography, but because of how deeply it draws you inward. In the hush between gusts, the ocean speaks. It says, "You are small, and that is a beautiful thing." In the heart of Chiapas, where the jungle breathes heavy and green, the Rio La Venta carves its way through a forgotten corridor of stone and shadow. This is Canyon Rio La Venta, a canyon so secluded it feels conjured by myth rather than mapped by man. Towering limestone cliffs rise on either side, cloaked in ferns and vines that drip from their edges like the hair of sleeping giants. The river snakes silently below, its water tinted jade by the minerals of the earth, reflecting the canopy above like a shattered emerald mirror. Exploring the canyon is not simple. It requires a journey by kayak or raft, slipping into the narrow veins of the earth itself. As you paddle, the world closes in, not threateningly, but protectively, as though nature is cupping you in its hands. Waterfalls descend from impossible heights, some so fine they drift like silk in the breeze, others crashing into hidden pools with the force of thunder. Caves yawn in the rock walls, some harboring ancient secrets, others merely echoing the sound of dripping time. At certain bends, the canyon opens slightly to reveal golden beaches no wider than a whisper, patches of sand where explorers set up camp beneath a web of stars. The only light comes from flickering fire and phosphorescent insects dancing in the humid dark. In the stillness, it becomes clear. This is not a place made for the casual tourist. It is a sacred corridor shaped by tectonics and time, where solitude takes the shape of a river and the spirit finds room to stretch. The earth here breaks open. Cracks and crevices stretch like veins across a landscape sculpted not with gentleness, but with fire and erosion, water and time. This is Cathedral Gorge, a marvel hidden in plain sight in southeastern Nevada, where towers of bentonite clay rise like ancient cathedrals from the desert floor. Their spires catch the light in hues of cream, ochre, and russet, shifting with the arc of the sun until the entire canyon appears to pulse with life. Step inside one of the narrow slot canyons, and the world changes. The air cools, the light dims, and suddenly you're walking through a labyrinth formed by rain and millennia. The walls close in around you, pressing gently, carved with delicate vertical fluting like the pipes of a massive organ. In this hush, every footfall becomes a drumbeat. Your breath seems louder. Shadows dance along the stone, elongating and dissolving with each passing minute. The silence is absolute and deeply intimate. One path leads to Miller Point, a high overlook where the canyon unfurls below like a cracked tapestry, glowing in the waning light. From here, the formations seem to stretch to the horizon in soft ripples, each more fantastic than the last. And when dusk arrives, it does so with drama. The sky explodes into a palette of purples and reds, the sandstone catching every hue, holding it for a moment longer than it should, like a secret it's reluctant to release. You don't just walk through Cathedral Gorge. You wander, you wonder, you surrender to its strangeness. It is a place that feels forgotten by time, sculpted not just by erosion, but by mystery. A place where silence has a voice, and the land speaks in the language of shadow and stone. High in the untamed expanses of Pakistan's Karakoram Range, cradled between the colossal shoulders of mountains that scrape the sky, lies a valley so unspoiled, it feels like a secret told in whispers, Shimshal. Reaching it requires devotion, a vertiginous journey across narrow dirt roads etched into cliff faces, with no guardrails, no reassurances, only faith in the track ahead. And then, after hours of tension and rising altitude, the land unfolds. What awaits is not just a destination, but a revelation. Shimshal is a bowl of wonder carved by glaciers and cradled in ice. Villages built from stone and timber emerge as if grown from the earth itself. Fields of golden barley and pea blossoms ripple in the wind, tended by hands hardened by generations of resilience. The people here wear the landscape in their eyes, steely, kind, and enduring. They are mountaineers by birth, some of the finest climbers on earth, their spirits forged by proximity to giants like Dastagil Sar and Yazgil Glacier. Yet Shimshal is not a place of conquest. It is a sanctuary of coexistence. Yak herders move through highland pastures where alpine lakes mirror the snow-draped summits, and the air smells of pine resin, cool stone, and wild thyme. The silence here is sharp, absolute, broken only by the call of the lammergeier soaring overhead or the distant crack of an avalanche echoing off unseen walls. Time in Shimshal moves like meltwater, slow, purposeful, and cold. There are no signs, no lights, no digital footprints, but in its absence lies clarity. Clarity of sound, of air, of life. Shimshal is not lost. It simply never needed to be found. Somewhere along the windswept coastline of Chile's Isen region, cradled between fjords that seem painted by the gods themselves, lies the marble caves of General Carrera Lake, a sanctuary of stone and water so improbable, it feels like nature's attempt at cathedral design. Accessible only by boat, these caves are hidden in the folds of Patagonia's lesser-traveled corridors, where the Andes melt into glacial lakes with surreal clarity. As you approach, the marble emerges, a network of caverns, pillars, and tunnels, sculpted by millennia of wave motion, polished to a gleam by the lake's cold embrace. The walls undulate in shades of white, gray, and azure, reflecting and refracting the turquoise waters in a kaleidoscope of light. Entering the caves is like floating through a dream. The ceilings curve above like petrified waves, and the silence is broken only by the drip of water echoing from ancient hollows. Each turn reveals a new chamber, a new interplay of light and stone that seems more imagined than geological. The lake shifts in hue with the hour, sapphire at dawn, emerald at noon, silver by moonlight. No road leads directly here. No signs herald its approach. The marble caves exist as a kind of secret architecture, where the earth has chosen to whisper beauty rather than shout it. There is no path that leads you to Lake Oahe without the desert testing your resolve first. Tucked deep into the rugged expanse of eastern Oregon, where volcanic rock meets parched silence, this remote reservoir emerges like a secret whispered between the cliffs. Cradled within rust-colored canyon walls and rimmed with jagged buttes, Lake Oahe is a serpentine splash of turquoise water glowing beneath the high desert sun. Wind slices over the lake in long, sighing breaths, rippling the surface until it glimmers like glass crushed and stirred. The isolation here is not a drawback. It's the invitation. You won't find bustling marinas or polished resorts. What you'll find are painted hills older than memory, wild horses carving paths along the rim, and petroglyphs left behind by ancient hands whose stories are etched in basalt. The water, held back by a 1930s dam of Art Deco concrete, shimmers with otherworldly clarity. Stand at the overlook, and the earth falls away into silence, a basin of color and light carved by time and water. In the early morning, mist clings low over the lake, weaving between the cliffs like a spirit reluctant to leave. And when the stars arrive, a billion brilliant points strewn across an unpolluted sky. The reflection is so sharp, it becomes impossible to tell where the heavens end and the earth begins. Lake Oahe is no postcard paradise. It is raw, defiant, and absolutely alive. It demands effort and attention. And in return, it offers you solitude that stretches into eternity, and a wilderness so magnificent, it doesn't need to raise its voice to be heard. Where the desert meets the sea in the Baja California peninsula, a hidden oasis blooms from the scorched earth, defying logic and gravity alike. This is the Canyon of Guadalupe, a secluded realm of granite domes and cascading waterfalls, tucked into the Sierra de Juarez. Accessible only by off-road trek through otherworldly desert terrain, the journey itself feels like a rite of passage, a transformation of dust into wonder. And then, as if summoned by longing, it appears. A palm-fringed canyon where water gurgles from the rocks and steam rises from natural hot springs that have bubbled here for millennia. The air smells of minerals and wild fig trees, and the only sound is the rush of water as it spills over stone into crystalline pools. Ancient petroglyphs are etched into the canyon walls, left behind by the Kumeyaay people who once made this place their sanctuary. Each symbol tells a story older than any map, carved not for tourists but for the sky itself. Bathing in these geothermal springs as the sun melts into the mountains is a kind of resurrection. The water soothes more than skin. It erases noise, rewinds time, reminds you what silence sounds like. Campers pitch their tents beneath towering palms, surrounded by boulders the size of houses. The night here is velvet dark, pierced by stars so sharp and numerous they seem to vibrate with life. Coyotes yip in the distance, and the wind moves like a whisper through the canyons. In the morning, the first light paints the rocks in ochre and gold, and steam curls off the pools like breath from a sleeping giant. It is a place that doesn't ask for your attention. It claims it, gently and irrevocably, until you realize that what you've found here is not a destination, but a return. Beyond the reaches of concrete and noise, tucked between the Ruby Mountains and the high desert, lies a sanctuary so vast and vital, it feels like a breath held in the palm of the earth. Ruby Lake National Wildlife Refuge. It stretches across more than 37,000 acres of wetland and meadow, where sky and water meet in a harmony so quiet, it becomes holy. At dawn, the marshlands come alive with motion and song. The mirror-still surface of the lake catches fire with the rising sun, igniting a symphony of color, burnished golds, soft pinks, and shimmering silvers. Egrets wade gracefully through the shallows. Trumpeter swans glide silently, their white feathers catching the light like soft flames. Sandhill cranes descend in deliberate arcs, their cries echoing across the stillness. This is not just a refuge for birds, it is a refuge for the spirit. Wooden boardwalks stretch gently over the water, allowing you to walk among the reeds and willows without disturbing the fragile dance of life unfolding all around. Mule deer graze along the edges of open fields. Pronghorn move like whispers across the distance. Fish swirl in the crystal-clear waters, their presence marked by a fleeting glimmer or a sudden ripple. To stand in the heart of the refuge is to feel small, but in the best way. The Ruby Mountains rise behind you, catching cloud shadows across their snow-flecked flanks. The desert sprawls beyond, vast and unknowable. And here in the hush between sky and water, you are reminded of balance, of quiet beauty, of the fragile, enduring miracle of wilderness. Ruby Lake does not rush. It does not shout. It waits, eternal and patient, offering itself only to those who slow down enough to see it. Those who do are never quite the same. There's a place where the desert exhales, where life pulses through reeds and cottonwoods and stone seems to hum underfoot. High on a plateau in southwestern Bolivia lies a blinding white desert not of sand, but of salt, Salar de Uyuni. But to call it a desert is misleading. This place is not barren, it is electric. When dry, it is a horizonless plain of cracked crystals, geometric and endless. When wet, it transforms into the world's largest mirror, a sheet of glass stretching toward infinity. Sky and earth dissolve into one, and you, small and weightless in the center, are caught in a realm where direction and gravity falter. The experience of standing upon the Salar is unlike any other. There is no scale. The mountains in the distance appear as illusions, floating above their own reflections. Clouds skim past your ankles. Stars fall in double constellations. Even your shadow feels otherworldly, cast in pale gray upon a surface that feels neither solid nor liquid, but something in between. At sunrise, the world is born anew in golden brilliance, every grain of salt illuminated in crystalline clarity. At sunset, the ground turns lavender, then deep violet, and then vanishes entirely as the last light retreats behind the Andes. Vehicles seem to hover, and time seems to pause. Yet the Salar is not static. Beneath its crust lie lithium reserves that power modern life, and its surface is dotted with islands of coral-like rock, where ancient cacti grow 10 meters tall. Isla Incahuasi stands at the center, an alien sanctuary in an alien land. Salar de Uyuni is not hidden by remoteness alone. It is hidden by perception. It forces you to re-see everything: color, form, distance, self. To visit it is to be reminded of the limits of your own understanding and to fall in love with those limits. At the edge of Bolivia's Salar de Coipasa, hidden among a glittering expanse of salt flats and mirages, stands the haunting ghost town of Jayucuta. Few records speak of it. Even fewer maps show its true shape. All that remains are wind-worn adobe walls, crumbling archways, and a bell tower that leans ever so slightly, as if whispering farewell to the clouds. The silence here is profound, broken only by the slow creak of metal in the wind or the sudden flap of a startled bird. When the rains come, a thin layer of water transforms the flats into a celestial mirror, and the ruins seem to float in sky. There is no signage, no footpaths, no trace of modern convenience, just earth and echo. Local legends speak of salt miners who vanished, of spirits that roam the empty rooms by moonlight, their shadows lingering in corners no one dares to explore. The air smells of sunburned salt and distant rain, and every breath carries the weight of 1,000 unspoken stories. Jayucuta doesn't want to be found. It lingers at the edge of perception, a ruin soaked in silver light, waiting for the right kind of visitor, the kind who listens not with ears, but with reverence. High in the folds of the Blue Ridge Mountains, tucked into the gentle wilds of western North Carolina, lies a quiet miracle known as Craggy Pinnacle. This is not a peak of jagged arrogance or alpine severity. It's a rounded crown cloaked in rhododendron and clouds, a place that reveals its beauty with soft thunder and whispered breath. The road that climbs to it, the Blue Ridge Parkway, twists like a ribbon unfurling, and at milepost 364, a short trail beckons. From the parking lot, you step into a tunnel of twisted trees, their limbs gnarled and cloaked in moss, as if shaped by winds that remember the old gods. Mist clings low, curling around your ankles, dampening sound and sharpening scent. Every footstep feels ceremonial. The path climbs gently but purposefully, curving through a tunnel of living sculpture. When the forest breaks, the world opens. You emerge at the summit, and suddenly, the view surrounds you. A 360-degree panorama of the Blue Ridge, layered in blues and greens, rolling like waves in slow motion. If the clouds hang low, they lap at the mountaintops like sea foam. If the sky is clear, the light paints every ridge in gold. In June, the rhododendrons bloom, violent bursts of magenta exploding from the green, and the air hums with bees and bird call. But Craggy is not about spectacle. It's about stillness, the kind that descends into your chest and stays there. Sit on one of the stone benches, feel the wind against your face, and let the hush of elevation pull everything else away. There's no conquest here, no summit photo required, just the gentle revelation of a world still willing to be beautiful, if you're quiet enough to see it. Along the Pacific coast, beyond the fame of Puerto Escondido and the glitter of Huatulco, lies a quiet crescent of paradise known only to those who seek it. Playa Mermellita. It is a beach of wild elegance framed by cliffs and jungle, where black volcanic sand glistens under the sun and the ocean roars with ancient voice. This is no place for umbrellas or beach clubs. It is primal, untouched, sacred, a place where the rhythm of the waves is a language, and each tide pulls your soul a little farther from the world you knew. The beach stretches long and wide, and the only footprints you'll see are your own, or those of turtles returning to the sea after nesting beneath the stars. Pelicans glide inches above the breakers, and crabs scuttle through the shadows like secrets. On the edge of the cliffs, a hidden stone staircase leads to a viewpoint known only to locals, El Mirador del Jaguar. At sunset, the sky explodes in hues of fire and coral, and the wind carries the scent of salt and distant blooms. From this perch, you don't just witness beauty, you absorb it. Nights at Mermellita are painted with celestial ink. Without streetlights or traffic, the beach becomes a sanctuary of stars. Fires flicker beside makeshift tents, and the only soundtrack is the crash of waves and the soft murmur of stories shared beneath wool blankets. There's no reception here, no distractions, just the raw, thunderous pulse of the earth. For those who make the journey, Playa Mermellita doesn't offer escape. It offers remembrance of what it means to be small, of what it feels like to be free. The Jarbidge River winds like a liquid thread through deep chasms and grassy flats, fed by glacial springs that run cold even in the blaze of midsummer. Elk drift silently between the trees like ghosts, their antlers catching the light of dawn. If you are still enough, long enough, you might hear the deliberate pad of a mountain lion moving unseen across the ridgeline. There are no roads here, no lodges, only trails that vanish into thickets and rise again along cliff sides, guiding the willing to places unnamed and unspoiled. One such path takes you to Cougar Peak, a formidable summit draped in alpine silence. where the air thins and your breath becomes part of the wind. Below, fields of lupine sway in gentle unison, painting the ground with violet hues as though the sky had dropped pieces of itself. Here, time bends, measured not in minutes, but in moments of awe. The sun cuts across the valley in golden shafts, spotlighting hidden waterfalls that shimmer like molten glass. To wander through Jarbidge is not merely to explore, it is to surrender, to give yourself over to something older, something wild and unyielding. Here, solitude is not loneliness, but a sacred communion with a land that has never been tamed. The silence is complete, the kind that reveals how much noise we carry with us in our ordinary lives. In Jarbidge, you learn to let it go, one breath at a time. A road winds gently upward, in the dry heart of Iran's central plateau, camouflaged by desert and legend. The stepped village of Masouleh appears to grow straight out of the mountain. Homes are built into the rock itself, their rooftops forming walkways for those above. Streets do not wind, they stack. Here, the landscape is architecture, and life unfolds vertically. To enter Masouleh is to move upward, not just in elevation, but in atmosphere. As you climb, the haze of industry gives way to air sweetened by rosewater and smoke from bread ovens. Stone homes painted in earthy ochres cling to the cliffs, each a tier in a human hive that dates back over 1,000 years. From above, the village is a cascade of amber steps draped in vines and prayer flags. But the true magic of Masouleh lies not in its layout, but in its lifeblood. Traders shout from balconies, their voices weaving through alleys that echo like ancient instruments. Women in vibrant chadors pass tea through windows, as if the town breathes hospitality. In one corner, an old man plays a santour beside a pool filled with water lilies and coins, wishes caught in stillness. At night, the lights of Masouleh glow golden, scattered like fallen stars along the mountain face. The silence here is not empty but sacred, filled with the soft rustle of leaves and the distant sound of a waterfall threading through the valley below. Masouleh is not hidden by distance, it is hidden by time. It feels like a place that the modern world simply forgot, and in that forgetting, preserved its soul. Deep in the arid reaches of the Ténéré Desert in Niger, beyond the grasp of civilization, lies the tree of Ténéré, a lone sentinel that once stood as the most isolated tree on Earth. Though the original tree has long since fallen, its ghost remains, etched into the soul of the desert. In its place, a steel sculpture now rises, shimmering under the sun, a testament to nature's persistence and solitude. The journey here is a rite of passage, a bone-dry voyage through seas of sand, where the horizon warps beneath the heat and the wind shapes dunes into living forms. The silence is cathedral-like, vast and sacred. The steel tree casts a long shadow over the sun-bleached earth, and for a moment, you feel as though the world has narrowed to this single point of existence. There is no crowd, no sound of traffic, only the low moan of the wind moving ancient grains across eternity. Standing here, you're not looking at a tourist attraction. You're standing at the edge of human memory, where stories of nomads and caravans still linger in the dust. The tree of Ténéré is a ghost in metal, a landmark in a landscape that resists being known. It reminds you that even in the most desolate places, meaning blooms like a flower fed by nothing but sky and silence. Hidden away in the farthest reaches of Michigan's Upper Peninsula, the black rocks of Marquette rise like obsidian guardians over the icy surge of Lake Superior. They are ancient, older than bones, older than trees, volcanic remnants forged over 1 billion years ago. Jagged, dark, and elemental, these formations are not content to simply exist. They challenge you. Climbing them feels like stepping onto the shoulders of giants, each stone absorbing the heat of the sun and radiating it back into your bones. Waves crash at their base in rhythmic fury, painting the black stones slick and gleaming, a canvas of motion and sound. The air tastes of pine and steel, with gusts that carry the ghosts of freighters and forgotten storms. It's a place that defies classification, not quite a beach, not quite a cliff. A kind of natural cathedral where young daredevils leap into the frigid depths and poets sit with notebooks that remain forever unfinished. Even in the summer, the waters below sting with glacial cold, yet they beckon with impossible clarity. Beneath the surface lie rocks worn smooth by millennia of water and shafts of light that pierce the blue in divine beams. There are no signs, no rails, no artificial edges. This place is still wild, still free. In the winter, the scene transforms. Frost grips the edges of the rock. The lake snarls beneath a crust of ice, and snow drapes the dark crags in silence. But no matter the season, the black rocks pulse with a primal energy, one that humbles, centers, and pulls you out of yourself until you remember what it means to stand somewhere that doesn't care who you are, only that you came. At the break of dawn, a veil of mist clings to the emerald canopy of the Huasteca Potosina, concealing one of Mexico's most enigmatic natural wonders. Here, the earth opens into a colossal chasm known as the Sótano de las Golondrinas, a vertical abyss that plunges over 370 meters into the Earth's crust. As the first light pierces the horizon, a symphony of wings erupts from the darkness below. Thousands of white-collared swifts and green parakeets ascend in a vortex, spiraling into the morning sky like a living cyclone. The sound is deafening yet transcendent, an echo of ancient rhythms undisturbed by time. Standing at the edge of this limestone cathedral, the ground drops away so suddenly that your breath catches in your throat. There are no handrails, no warning signs, just the raw, primal truth of nature's architecture. The shaft is so deep that the jungle canopy at its base seems more like a miniature diorama than reality. Sunlight dances across the stone walls, revealing ancient mineral patterns that shimmer like brushstrokes on a forgotten fresco. Some dare to descend by rope into the abyss, a vertical pilgrimage into silence and shadow. But even those who only watch from above will feel forever changed, touched by something elemental. This is not a place for crowds or commerce. It is a cathedral of wind and stone, where gravity itself seems to pause in reverence. Tucked beneath the jagged folds of the Albanian Alps, hidden from casual view by the rugged pride of mountains long untouched, lies a valley that whispers through time. Theth. It is not marked by grandeur in the way the world often measures it, but by a kind of divine intimacy, a beauty so pure, so unsullied, that it feels as though you're the first to witness it. A narrow road winds dangerously along cliff edges, skimming river gorges so deep they feel bottomless. And then it appears. A stone church resting in a field of green, mist curling over slate rooftops, rivers carving silver ribbons through wildflower meadows. The air is thin but clean, scented with pine, sheep's wool, and firewood. Time here has fractured. The outside world feels not distant, but non-existent. In Theth, the world speaks in whispers, in the footfalls of shepherds guiding their flocks across the pass, in the creak of a wooden gate left ajar by the wind, in the laughter of children echoing through ancient chestnut forests. And always, the omnipresent Alps, vast, white-crowned and watchful, as if guarding this sacred pocket from modern noise. To arrive here is not to check off a destination. It is to step into a way of living that humbles you, that shows you how silence, when uninterrupted, becomes music. The kind of music only mountain gods could compose. Theth does not need to shout to overwhelm. Its hush is enough. Hidden deep within the labyrinthine hills of central Madagascar lies the Tsingy de Bemaraha, a forest made not of trees, but of razor-sharp limestone. From above, it appears otherworldly, thousands upon thousands of stone spires jutting upward like the spines of an ancient, petrified beast. Few have walked its corridors. The very terrain forbids casual exploration. To enter is to surrender to a world of narrow crevices and towering karst towers that filter light into jagged, glowing slices. You must climb, crawl, and sometimes leap from ledge to ledge, secured by ropes and an unwavering spirit. Yet the rewards are staggering. High atop the Tsingy, the view opens to reveal a primeval world untouched by time. Forests nestled in stone valleys, hidden grottos echoing with the calls of lemurs and unseen birds, and in the silence between, a sense that you have stepped into the lungs of the earth itself. Water carves through this landscape in secret, creating underground rivers and hidden lakes that few eyes have seen. And in the golden hush of sunset, the stone forest glows amber and violet, transforming into a cathedral of mineral light. The Tsingy is not just geography, it is geology in revolt, a secret kingdom sculpted by patience and persistence, too wild for maps and too profound for words. Buried within the northern reaches of Montana, away from Glacier's grandeur and the well-worn paths of Yellowstone, lies the isolated jewel of the Yaak Valley. A land of forgotten rivers, moss-draped trees, and mountains lost in mist. The Yaak is a wild, unyielding place, and in its heart flows the Yaak River Falls. You don't stumble upon them, you seek them out. Down gravel roads that chew at your tires, through thick woods that press close like a secret, and then you hear it. The thunder of falling water. The trail is short but steep, a scramble through fir and cedar that feels more animal than human. And then the falls. Wide, chaotic, primal. The Yaak River fans out and roars over terraced rock, a wild white fury that never stops singing. Not tall, but powerful, like nature clearing its throat. The pool below is a swirl of emerald and foam, ringed in slick stone and whispering pine. Mist clings to your face. The roar becomes a heartbeat. There are no signs here, no fences, no warning plaques. Just nature unbuffered. Sit on the rock shelf beside the falls and feel the spray touch your skin. Listen to the echoes bounce through the gorge. Eagles nest above. Bear tracks line the mud. It's not a park. It's not curated. It's real. And because of that, it stays with you. The Yaak is a place of thresholds, between wild and tame, known and forgotten. The falls are its voice, crashing through time, singing to those who dare to listen. When you leave, you'll carry more than memories. You'll carry the sound of wild water echoing in your bones. In the tropical hills of Nayarit, above the surf-swept shores and fishing villages, the forest parts to reveal an unexpected sanctuary, the crater lake of Santa Maria del Oro. Formed by a long-extinct volcano, the lake is perfectly round, deep beyond measure, and mirrors the surrounding ridges with impossible clarity. The air here smells of pine and citrus, and the wind carries the scent of cool water and sun-warmed stone. The lake is sacred to the Wixárika people, who speak of it as a doorway, a mirror between worlds. As dawn breaks, mist rolls across the lake in languid swirls, and the surface reflects the sky so flawlessly it becomes hard to tell where water ends and air begins. Fishermen paddle silently in wooden boats, casting lines without splash. The stillness here has a gravity, drawing your thoughts inward, quieting the noise you didn't realize you carried. Swimming in the lake is like floating through a dream, soft, buoyant, and strangely grounding. Around the rim, small restaurants and adobe cabins nestle among flowering jacarandas. Hummingbirds dart between blossoms, and the call of unseen birds echoes through the hills. At night, the lake glows faintly under the moonlight, holding the stars in its depths like a bowl of black glass. Campfires flicker along the shore and conversations grow hushed, as if the lake itself is listening. Santa Maria del Oro doesn't clamor for attention. It invites it, slowly, tenderly, until you find you've left behind more than just your shoes at the water's edge. You've shed a layer of yourself. Where the cliffs of Oman's Musandam Peninsula plunge into the sea in towering folds of sandstone and thyme, there exists a fjordscape so rugged and untouched, it is often called the Norway of Arabia. Yet to speak of Khor Ash Sham in metaphors is to miss its essence. This place is not like anything. It is singular. A realm of silence broken only by the sigh of water lapping against wooden dhow hulls, and the haunting call of dolphins tracing silver paths beneath the waves. You approach not on foot or by road, but by boat. The journey begins in the small port of Kasab, then glides into a maze of inlets where the Hajar Mountains descend in jagged folds straight into cobalt water. The cliffs glow gold at dawn, burnished by the rising sun, and blush purple at dusk when the sky deepens into ink. Villages here, if they can be called that, cling to the rock like whispers. Kumzar, one of the oldest settlements, remains only accessible by sea, its people speaking a language found nowhere else on Earth. Time in the Musandam fjords dilates. There are no roads, no shops, no chatter of tourists, only wind, sea, and stone. Fishermen cast nets from hand-hewn boats, their lines etched in rhythm with the tides. Goats graze the impossible slopes above, where olive trees twist into impossible stances. The scent of salt and the sun-baked mineral tang of sandstone permeate the air. At night, bioluminescence flickers in the water, tracing your boat in ghostly neon ribbons. Overhead, the sky splits open with stars, unfiltered by city light, so close you could imagine them humming. Khor Ash Sham is not grand in the way cities are grand. Its majesty lies in its restraint, in the absolute purity of elemental contrast. Sky, rock, sea, soul. In a coastal cave along the windswept cliffs of Scotland's Orkney Islands lies a chamber forgotten by all but the sea, Smoo Cave. The name itself is derived from the Norse word for hiding place, and stepping into its shadowed mouth is like entering the breath of the earth. A river flows directly into the cave, vanishing into a hidden chasm beneath the stone, while a waterfall crashes from a high fissure, its roar echoing through the vast, cathedral-like space. The inner chamber is only accessible by small boat or cautious footpath, lit by the dim glow of filtered daylight piercing through a collapsed roof above. Moss clings to the stone like ancient scripture, and every droplet that falls seems to mark another year on the cave's unwritten calendar. The atmosphere is not oppressive, but sacred, moist, and whispering. as though the walls themselves are murmuring secrets kept for millennia. Archaeological evidence suggests this cave has been used by humans since the Neolithic age, yet it remains a mystery, largely unseen, uncelebrated, and unknown. Smoo Cave is not simply a hole in the earth. It is a hollowed heart, an echo chamber of tides and time, a portal between the tangible and the mythical. Tucked into the folds of Idaho's sawtooth wilderness, where peaks claw at the clouds and alpine lakes hold secrets beneath their mirrored skins, lies Goat Lake, an emerald shard of liquid ice hidden 8,200 feet above sea level. To reach it is no stroll. The trail demands respect. 5 steep miles of dirt and stone, through pine forests heavy with silence and meadows flushed with wild lupine. Waterfalls tumble alongside you as you climb, their voices growing louder with every foot of elevation until the air grows thin and the forest falls away. And then, there it is. The lake, a perfect jewel set in a basin of jagged peaks, still rimmed with snow even in the dog days of summer. The water is impossibly clear, green and blue and steel gray all at once, cold as winter's breath. You'll want to dive in, and when you do, your body jolts awake like it's being baptized in the rawest sense. Around the shore, boulders the size of cabins serve as thrones for silence, and the wind carries nothing but the rustle of pine and the shriek of a distant eagle. Time stops here. The sky feels closer, the world sharper. Some visitors camp by the shore, waking to sunrise, turning the peaks blood red before softening to rose. Others stay only long enough to etch the view into memory. Either way, it marks you. Goat Lake is no roadside attraction. It's a reward, one earned by aching legs and quiet determination. It doesn't beg to be photographed. It simply exists, perfect and hidden, waiting for those willing to ascend into its cold, cathedral stillness. Hidden in the folds of the Sierra Madre del Sur, far beyond the reach of tour buses and hotel lobbies, the town of San Miguel del Puerto exists in a different tempo. Here, life doesn't move with urgency, but flows like a slow stream through the valleys, quiet, glistening, eternal. The journey to reach this village is no simple feat. Winding roads snake through mist-draped mountains, where cliffs plunge into the dense embrace of tropical forests. But with every turn, the world unspools a little more, revealing glimpses of waterfalls, wild orchids, and birds whose names most have never learned. San Miguel del Puerto is surrounded by an ecological wonder, a network of crystalline rivers, hidden cascades, and deep blue pools so clear they seem otherworldly. One such place, the Cascadas de la Reforma, lies tucked within a forest of towering ceibas and bromeliads. Water rushes down multi-level tiers of rock, forming natural staircases of turquoise and jade. The sound here is not a roar, but a lullaby, the constant hush of water over stone, the rustle of wind through bamboo. Butterflies flicker in the shafts of sunlight, and time dissolves into droplets. Locals, proud guardians of this paradise, guide visitors not as service providers, but as storytellers. They speak of the jaguar that once walked these hills, of spirits that dwell in caves, of herbs that heal and trees that remember. At night, with the stars blazing in the sky like ancestral fire, stories and laughter rise from the hearths of clay homes, drifting into the forest like offerings. San Miguel del Puerto is not merely a place. It is a living poem, softly recited in the language of rivers and rain. Deep beneath the ancient green breath of Phong Nha Bang National Park in Vietnam, a rift in the earth swells open like a gateway into myth. Hang Son Joong is not merely a cave. It is a lost world. A leviathan of stone with cathedral-scale dimensions. This colossal chasm is large enough to hold a city block, yet it lies veiled beneath jungle, clouds, and time itself. There is no trail that eases one gently into its grandeur. You drop, suspended by rope, lowered into the belly of the earth. Then, light, ethereal shafts from a collapsed ceiling kiss the cavern floor and reveal an ecosystem entirely its own. Jungle thrives in darkness here, nurtured by an internal weather system. Mist curls in gentle spirals. Ancient moss softens jagged limestone, and the constant trickle of water sings an otherworldly lullaby. The silence isn't truly silent. It hums. Every surface pulses with stories sculpted by centuries of erosion. Stories told in the towering stalagmites rising like ancient towers and the underground river whispering its secrets. You are not exploring a cave. You are walking through Earth's lungs, through time solidified, a world that should not exist and yet breathes beneath your feet. High in the wild interior of Norway, where the sun lingers long during summer and hides deeply through winter, lies the secluded expanse of Innerdalen. Known only to dedicated trekkers and whispered among alpine enthusiasts, Innerdalen is a valley sculpted by glaciers and wrapped in the velvet hush of pine and snow. It opens suddenly, like a secret garden unveiled, revealing a scene so impossibly perfect it feels more imagined than real. A turquoise lake lies nestled at its center, its still surface reflecting the jagged crown of Mount Innerdalstornet, the Matterhorn of Norway, with breathtaking symmetry. Timber cabins dot the lower meadows, their grass-covered roofs blending into the landscape as if grown there. Wild berries burst underfoot, and the air carries the scent of cold stone and fresh water. Waterfalls tumble from great heights, their music echoing across mossy boulders and shadowed glens. There are no crowds, no car horns, only the rhythmic crunch of boots on earth and the far-off cry of a lone eagle overhead. In winter, snow cloaks the valley in silence. In spring, it erupts in green and light. Innerdalen does not ask to be found. It waits patiently, a pocket of wonder nestled in the folds of a land shaped by ice and solitude. Rising from the flame-colored soil of southern Utah like a secret citadel, the toadstool hoodoos form a surreal kingdom sculpted by time and tempest. The name sounds whimsical, and the landscape looks like something pulled from a forgotten dream. Slender spires of stone crowned with broad caps of ancient rock, frozen mid-balancing act. Each one stands like a sentinel in this quiet desert amphitheater, a monument to erosion and patience. The trail begins in stillness, winding through dry riverbeds flanked by walls streaked in pastel hues, pale pinks, oranges, and bone-white beige. You walk surrounded by silence so profound, even your heartbeat feels intrusive. Then, as the wash bends, the hoodoos appear. Dozens of them, tall, fragile, impossibly poised. The contrast is striking. Soft Entrada sandstone supports massive slabs of harder Dakota rock, balanced like forgotten relics left by titans at play. Their forms shift as you walk around them, from proud figures to squat creatures to alien watchtowers depending on where the sun rests in the sky. Touch them and the rock crumbles into fine powder. Look at them and they seem eternal. Above, the sky blazes cobalt blue, and a wind full of grit threads its way through the labyrinth of spires, whispering stories older than memory. There are no crowds here, no fences, just the wind, the earth, and the eerie knowledge that these formations are temporary, caught mid-disappearance. You may be the last to see a particular hoodoo before it surrenders to gravity. That knowledge deepens the experience, sharpens your senses, and when you leave, the trail winds back through the open desert, the hoodoos watching you go. Their silence feels like a blessing. Beneath the dense canopy of Gabon's Lope National Park lies a place that pulses with ancient memory, the Breathtaking Plateau. But this isn't your typical African savanna. It is a mosaic of burned-out volcanoes and endless grasslands hemmed in by jungle, where the landscape stretches out in bronze-gold waves, unspoiled and dreamlike. It is here, far from roads and cell towers, that something extraordinary happens. The past begins to whisper. From the air, the plateau appears as a sea of undulating ridges, the grass shimmering in the wind like the surface of some prehistoric ocean. Elephants roam freely, moving in solemn lines across the open lands, their shadows long against the sinking sun. Mandrills with rainbow faces flash through the underbrush, and flocks of green pigeons erupt like confetti from fig trees fat with fruit. The terrain is not merely beautiful, it's sacred. High above the jungled spine of Papua New Guinea's Owen Stanley Range, there lies a place few have dared to explore, the mist-wreathed world of Lake Myola. This ancient crater lake sits like a jewel in the clouds, its waters dark and inscrutable, held in the arms of a collapsed volcano. Reaching it requires a grueling trek through dense rainforest, along the legendary Kokoda Track, where each step is a story carved in mud and memory. The forest here is alive in a way that startles the senses. Orchids hang from gnarled limbs like spectral flames, and giant ferns unfurl as though remembering their prehistoric heritage. The air is thick, almost syrupy with moisture, and filled with the deep, resonant chorus of frogs and insects that have never heard the sound of traffic. When you finally glimpse Myola, the world seems to pause. The lake is still, almost too still, surrounded by the dense emerald of untouched forest. Mist drapes itself around the crater rim like a ceremonial veil, and the water reflects the sky with unsettling precision. Local legend tells of spirits who guard the lake, and indeed, there's an unshakable sense that you're being watched, not with malice, but with ancient, patient curiosity. Myola exists not for cameras or itineraries. It exists as a sentinel of mystery, a forgotten water glass of time. Far off the southern coast of Iran, adrift in the aquamarine embrace of the Persian Gulf, lies Hormuz Island, an otherworldly canvas painted not with brush, but by tectonics and time. Its surface erupts in reds, oranges, purples, and ochres, strata of mineral-rich hills that rise like molten brushstrokes from the sea. The island is a geologic hallucination, unlike anywhere else on Earth, and yet so few have walked its color-soaked trails. Known as the Rainbow Island, its coastline is a revelation. Golden beaches blend into cliffs of crimson, and powdery sands shimmer with microscopic crystals. At the heart of Hormuz lies the Valley of Statues, where rock formations shaped by wind and salt resemble frozen creatures mid-motion, some monstrous, some angelic, all silent. There's a red beach where the sand glows like fire at sunrise, and salt caves whose interiors sparkle like alien cathedrals. The wind smells of sea and rusted iron, and the sun ignites the palette of the land until the sky itself seems dull in comparison. It's a place that defies classification, a dream painted into existence, untouched by tourism's heavy hand. Hormuz is not a destination. It is a living myth, where the very ground pulses with color, and the boundaries between reality and wonder melt like salt in the tide. Folded into the dense heart of the Guiana highlands, in a secluded pocket of southern Venezuela, looms a tabletop titan veiled in ancient clouds, Mount Roraima. Its flat summit pierces through mist like a lost continent adrift in the sky. The edges of this sandstone colossus plunge into green abysses, cliffs so sheer and foreboding they appear to slice the heavens. Few have ever set foot here. The journey demands days through primal jungle, where phosphorescent fungi light your path at night, and the air pulses with the hum of unseen life. But upon ascending, you are welcomed not by grandeur, but by a surreal, alien stillness. The summit is another planet. Rock formations shaped by wind into cryptic sculptures, endemic plants that grow nowhere else on Earth, and rainwater pools so still they seem like forgotten mirrors to another world. It's a place of stories whispered by the Pemon people, who believe it is the stump of a mighty tree that once held all the fruits of the world. Clouds slide across the surface like specters, and thunder rumbles from below as if the earth resents your presence. On Roraima, the world below disappears, and you're left alone with a primeval sky that no modern sound has ever pierced. This is a place unclaimed by time, a crown of stone and silence suspended between myth and reality. In the vast, wind-torn deserts of western China, buried within the Taklamakan's endless dunes, slumbers the lost city of Dandan Oilik. Its name, the Houses of Ivory, carries with it the dust of legend. Forgotten for centuries, it was swallowed whole by the sands, a casualty of shifting trade routes and the brutal silence of the desert. Today, only fragments remain, sun-bleached pillars jutting from dunes like ribs of some ancient beast, broken statues whose faces have been eroded into blankness, and the occasional scrap of a mural that once adorned the walls of Buddhist temples. Reaching it is not easy. The desert is indifferent to human ambition, and the journey requires navigation by satellite and survival by sheer endurance. But to stand among these ruins is to feel the echo of a civilization that once pulsed with music, light, and incense. You can almost hear the voices of monks chanting in lost tongues, or the shuffle of traders laying silk and spices in the shadow of frescoed walls. Dandan Oilik is not simply hidden, it is buried beneath the memory of empires, a phantom city preserved by the cruel kindness of sand. It doesn't seek visitors. It rewards only pilgrims, those who understand that time is a tide that both erases and reveals. Tucked away in the middle of the South Pacific, guarded by the vast embrace of ocean and myth, is the island of Malden, a deserted atoll belonging to Kiribati. A forgotten whisper in a scattered archipelago. It is uninhabited, unreachable except by determined expedition or passing research vessel. Yet from above, its lagoon glows like a turquoise gemstone sunk in a ring of ivory sands and coral. From shore, the waters are crystalline, revealing reefs untouched and unspoiled, teeming with silent, vibrant life. Ancient Polynesian ruins dot the atoll, weathered stone platforms and sacred sites swallowed by time and creeping jungle, evidence of a civilization that once whispered prayers to the sea. There are no roads, no lights, no echoes of the modern world. At night, the stars burn with an intensity rarely seen, unpolluted and eternal, illuminating the milky clouds that drift silently overhead. Malden Island is not simply remote. It is elemental, a place where the universe narrows to sea and sky, coral and cosmos. You arrive with nothing and leave with less, emptied in the best way, like a vessel refilled with wonder. Few have seen it. Fewer still have understood it. Yet Malden exists, waiting patiently as it has for centuries, a celestial secret carved into the ocean's memory. Emerging from the cave's depths, we now set our sights on a place where water and rock engage in an eternal dance: Norway's Kjeragbolten. Perched 984 meters above the abyss of the Lysefjord, this legendary boulder is wedged precariously between two sheer cliffs, as if placed there by the hands of giants. The journey to reach it is not for the faint of heart. A strenuous hike across rugged terrain, steep inclines, and icy patches tests even the most experienced adventurers. But those who persist are rewarded with one of the most daring photo opportunities in the world. Standing atop the boulder, with nothing but air beneath their feet and the fjord stretching far below. The landscape surrounding Kjeragbolten is an exhibition of Norway's untamed beauty. Towering granite cliffs, their surfaces weathered smooth by the elements, rise abruptly from the dark waters of Lysefjord, their reflections mirrored in the stillness below. On misty days, the clouds roll in, wrapping the cliffs in an ethereal embrace, making the rock appear to float in midair. The silence is profound, punctuated only by the distant cry of an eagle soaring overhead. Those brave enough to step onto Kjeragbolten itself must do so with steady nerves. The slightest misstep would send them plummeting nearly 1,000 meters to the waters below. Yet, for those who conquer their fear, standing upon this stone is an experience of pure exhilaration, a moment suspended between earth and sky.